don't think you want to sit there and stare at me all morning. Let's see if we can pop the chat up here. My kidneys are kicking my butt today. So, let's see here. I think I want to do a giveaway. Let's see if we can get anybody in here first. I don't know if this video is even public, so hopefully somebody will come in or say hi, something. I think something might be wrong. Surely I didn't mess this up twice in a row. There's one person in here it shows. Please comment if you have, let me know if you can hear me and if you can see the road. So I'm almost to 3,500 subs today, guys. Almost to 3,500. It's like 3,497 or 98. I think it just changed to 98 this morning. And so I said, you know what? I think I ought to do a live. Kind of thinking about doing a giveaway. Nobody's bought any of my patches. So I'm kind of thinking like the first person that comments should win a patch. A Hood's Custom Shop patch made by me. Oh, we got 5 people in here. Hey, look at there. We got Elizabeth Rojas says good morning. All good. Tim Barber's in here. Shoot, dang. All right. So there we go right there. Elizabeth Rojas. You are the first person to comment on this live. My 3,500 subscriber live. It's a random pop-up live. I did not plan on doing a live this morning, but I happened to see that I am like 2 subs away from being at 3,500. So I said, hey, I need to do a giveaway for 3,500. That's a pretty big number. I never imagined I would ever have 3,500 subscribers. And guess what? Elizabeth, I know you know how to get a hold of me. And I don't know if I have your address or not, but you can send me your address. I'm going to send you a Hood's Custom Shop patch. Woohoo, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Can you believe that? 3,500. We're almost there. We're like 2 away. So I'm pretty much guaranteeing like tomorrow I'll have 3,500 by tomorrow. Cool, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. I was sitting here thinking, if I did a live and then I tried to go live and the camera wasn't working, I had to shut it down and start again. I was actually creating another live, and then I realized there was actually a little icon up there for this live, the previous. So I clicked on it and was able to restart it, and the camera's working now, I guess. So, what'd you guys think about that beautiful sunrise this morning? That was actually from this morning on my way to work. That was not like recorded from like yesterday or anything. That was actually this morning. I thought that was one of the most beautiful sunrises I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of really great ones, and that one seemed to top all of them. I used to work out in western Oklahoma, and I tell you what, the sunsets out there in western Oklahoma are freaking amazing. It's amazing, yeah. Heck yeah. Looks like we got 9 people in here and 5 thumbs up. Thank you, guys. Should we do another giveaway? I don't know how to do another giveaway, because if I do like a comment like giveaway or something, this one I was just like, you know what? How about the first person that comments, and they would win that first prize. I've got a couple of these patches to give away. I'm trying to think of a way that I can do that. I mean, I've tried the numbers thing before, and even with only like 8 or 9 people in here, the comments might be flying by, and it would be really hard for me to figure out who got it right first. out to the coop. This last weekend, the roosters went to freezer camp. One of them I did not process because it had some weird growths on the bottom side of it that I had never noticed before. But like when I went to, go do the processing part, I said, man, it was the smaller of the 3 roosters. It just seemed very skinny, and it had some kind of weird growths underneath of it, and I said, nope, I ain't eating that one. So that one went to the predators. But yeah, I had to get rid of them. They were all mean. If they were, moved apart from each other, like one of them, to one place and one to another place, they probably could have been okay. It probably wouldn't have been mean, but man, I couldn't even get in there to feed them in that coop. So I said, you know what? I'm never actually going to use those for, a rooster for breeding, because they're mean, and I don't know if that would breed into another, the next one or whatever. I don't know. I doubt it, but I said, you know what? I can find a nicer rooster for breeding stock or whatever somewhere down the road, and I don't know, maybe when some of these hatch out that I've got in the incubator now, maybe I'll get a rooster out of them. Ask a question. Those chicks really like them. They were scared at first. They had kind of like a culture shock thing. Me and my daughter carried them out there. I didn't record any of that, but we carried them out there. I was carrying like 2 at a time, and she would only carry 1 at a time. But we got them out there to the mud, and we'd set them down, and they just stand there in one spot. But last night, they figured out which corner they wanted to sleep in, which is kind of weird because it's the exact same corner that the previous chickens picked to sleep in. So that's really cool. It's kind of weird when you see stuff like that, you're like, what? They do the same thing as their parents used to do. Let's see, there's Hoops, Aussie Outdoor Adventures, Hooper's Mayhem, what's yet? I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing all right. Been dealing with my acid reflux this morning. Yesterday, I couldn't take my Protonics because I was getting too much of it built up in my system. And then I had to take it this morning. I was a little bit behind on taking it this morning, and the old acid reflux was trying to come up, but that little sphincter muscle in the top of my stomach was closed off pretty good. And what it does is it creates it feels kind of like gas pressure in my stomach, and it'll start hurting real bad. So I've been dealing with that this morning. Plus my blood pressure trying to go up a little bit because of having to take the Carafate. That kind of messes with my kidneys, I guess, and causes my blood pressure to go up. When I don't take as much of the Carafate, my blood pressure's normal. So it's got to be because of the medicine that's causing my blood pressure to go up. It's got to be. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. I'm hoping that when I finally get to where I don't have to take it anymore, that everything normalizes out. It's good. I dang sure don't want to have to be taking blood pressure medicine for the rest of my life. I honestly feel like it's way too early that I don't have a blood pressure problem other than that medicine's causing it. Let's see. I'm wondering, how to ask, what question to ask. Let's see. And you can't win twice. So Elizabeth Rojas, you already won. So you can't win twice. I'm trying to think. What kind of question could I ask that wouldn't be terribly hard? Well, I finally done my video on the spray foam injection test. You guys are going to probably want to see that. I'll say this. I've got lots more work to do. Hey, look at that. What is that, old 55 Chevy Bel Air over there? That's a nice looking Ford. Look about like a 55, maybe a 56. I think it's more like a 55 because the little fins on the back quarter panels or whatever weren't raised up at all. They're kind of round. I think 56 was slightly humped up and 57 was like sticking way up there, if I remember right. My dad had an old 57 Bel Air, I think it was. There's some, it could have been a 56, but he had a really nice, I'm pretty sure it was a Bel Air. And you know, back in the day, that was just kind of just a car, right? And he had no idea, you know, what kind of classic that car would have become, and ended up selling it off. What's up, Danny, going? Let's see, got Richard Hughes in here. What's up, man? Good to see you. Let's see, what else is new? Some of you may not know that my son got his truck back from the transmission shop. He got that broken part fixed, but the transfer case is stuck in 4 low, so he can only do like 40 mile an hour, and that's revving the, oh, move out of it. And yeah, so we got it back in there at the house, and I told him, I said, hey, you need to get the transfer case pulled out. And I told him this the other day, and I said, when I get back, I'll tear into it and see if I can fix it. And I'm like, but I want you there so you can watch it come apart and see, you know, if I fix it, how I get it fixed. Well, I got home yesterday, the old truck still sitting in the same spot, transfer case is still inside the truck, and he's like, well, if I pull the transfer case out, I can't move my truck at all. And I'm like, you shouldn't be moving it at all anyway. It's not like you're going to be driving it. I mean, he was driving it around, right? Not trying, he was driving it around with his buddies and everything. And I don't know if he even has a job anymore, because apparently he's not went to work in like 3 weeks. And just told me that yesterday. I was like, really? I was like, so what are you doing? You're just gonna go hang out with your buddies, and you're never gonna call them and find out when to come back to work? Or he's like, why don't you just go to work? You know? He's like, well, harvest is over for now, and I don't know when they want me to come back. I'm like, just freaking call them. I don't know. Teenagers, I'm telling you, teenagers. So I'm like, okay, well, you have a job. If you don't have a job working then, you got a job here. I said, all you got to do is start selling that wood that's sitting out there in that yard and give me a cut of it. I was like, honestly, I don't really care what you sell it for, as long as you get enough money to pay yourself and enough money to give me some out of it. You know, because I did all the work. And I was like, and then take that money, invest it in gas and sawmill blades, and start running that sawmill. I said, we need to get your truck fixed, and we'll get it set up to where it can move the log arch trailer. I'm trying to get him to start running that as his own business, because I simply can't do it right now. I can't. And if he will actually get off his butt and show, you know, the gumption or whatever to get off his butt and do it, then I might actually go down to Mahindra there in Anderson, Missouri, and see if I can't finance a tractor, you know, to get a tractor there to help him out. And, you know, I told him, I said, look, if you can get off your butt and realize what you have sitting right in front of you, you've got a turnkey business sitting right here in front of you. It's already got a name. It's already got a pretty decent reputation around there, but a lot of people aren't coming out because they know that I'm not running it right now. It's just sitting there. Okay, I've had a few people stop by when they see me there, and they'll talk about it, whatever. They're like, hey, are you selling lumber? Well, yeah, kind of. if you got, something you need or whatever, I can sell it to you if I got it. But right now, I'm not doing any cuts. I'm not doing any, special milling or anything like that because of my health and the heat and everything. It's just way too hot now for me to be out there doing it. And, right now he doesn't have to be out there milling. There's lots of lumber there that can be sold. And he's a pretty darn good salesman. He can wheel and deal. And I think maybe it's just he's really afraid of maybe selling it too cheap or something. I'm like, look, don't worry about that. I can give you like a price list on what to charge per board foot on what species or whatever. And that's kind of the other thing. He doesn't know what's what. I was out there the other day with him. I said, what wood is this? And he's like, I don't know. He goes, oak. I was like, that's a pretty good guess because 99% of what I have out there is oak. But no, it was black walnut that was just, sun faded. And I'm like, you got to be able to look at the grain structure and tell what it is rather than looking at the color of the wood. I mean, if you was to take a pocket knife and scratch it a little bit, you'll see that it's that chocolate color, and then you're going to know that it's black walnut. But these were like thick, 5-inch slabs, But I don't know. I hope that he got up this morning and went out there and started working on his truck. Let's see, I will be out harvesting our potatoes today. Well, that's Roberta's. We have purple, red, and white taters. Growing, the plants have died down, so it's time to harvest it. I'm sad that they didn't flower and go to seed. I know nothing about potatoes, but I do have some potatoes in the ground, and they're just now starting to grow. Man, we've had such a drought that it is just insanely hard to grow anything right now. A lot of the wheatgrass stuff that had sprouted from the chicken feed that was out there. I don't know if it's wheatgrass, and I don't think there was any wheat in that chicken feed. There was something that sprouted out of the chicken feed that looks like grass, kind of. It's sprouted up, and now most all of it's dying out. And I've had to put a 210 gallon water tank out there to be able to water with that, and because our water pressure at the house is crazy low right now. It's because the water table is way down. And normally we have probably 150 foot static water level in our well, and from what I understand, what I was told is my well pump is at about 800 feet deep. And so if it has to lift that water from almost all the way down at the bottom, then we have really low water pressure. And then, I don't know if some of you guys follow me on Facebook and everything. I posted a picture on Facebook where I fixed the bathroom shower upstairs. My kids and my wife have been griping that they can't take a shower. They always have to take a bath, and it takes forever, to fill up the bathtub because the water pressure is so low. And so I went to Lowe's and I picked up some fittings and stuff and a ball valve and fixed it to where, I mean, the main problem with the pressure in the upstairs bathroom and for the shower is when you pull that little handle up, and I've bought 5 or 6 of those, the little faucet thing that goes on there, because we have hard water, and about every year you end up replacing it. And when you pull it up, you're losing half your water through that little faucet thing. You got to jiggle it, mess with it. Finally, I said, you know what? I'm gonna jerry rig it. It's not like messed up. If I was to sell the house, I could just easily screw that off there and put a faucet on there. I guess just for showing or whatever. But I think part of my problem is I need to get a new well pump, and probably not this month, but maybe next month I might go ahead and get that. I'm still waiting to see if my wife's going to actually pay the payment that got missed or whatever on the house. She said she paid it, but it hasn't came out of her account yet, so I don't know if I really trust that yet. So, I don't know. I can't just go out and buy a well pump, you know, because those things are pretty expensive. And I'm kind of afraid that if I start pulling it myself, that something bad can happen. You know, I can drop it, you know, the rope could break or something. I mean, if it's really 800 feet deep and galvanized pipe with, you know, 1 inch of water column for 800 feet, that is crazy heavy. So I'm kind of thinking I need to just pay a guy to come out and do it. And, you know, it'll probably cost me about $1,200 to have the well guy come out and pull the well and put a new pump in and drop it down. And, you know, then I'll learn a little more about it and maybe do some video on it. You know, hopefully they'll let me record and everything, the whole process and everything. I feel like it's a little bit too ballsy for me to try to do that myself with the log arch trailer and Prusik knots. If I was to drop that thing down in there and lose it, if it broke off or something, and try to have to fish it back out, that could be a major nightmare. And then I'd be stuck, you know, having to load up the water tank in the pickup, and I'd have to go buy another tank for a cistern. I'd have to go down to the river and pump up water and bring it to the house and fill up a cistern or something. That just doesn't sound like something I want to do. Let's see. What did I miss here? Man, prayers, man. It's not cold here. It's 79 degrees where I'm at right now. Let's see. What question could I ask for the giveaway? We got 14 people in here, so I don't know if we'll get more than 14 people. Alright, so the question that you guys need to answer. Hello, Lila. The question y'all need to answer to win a Hood's Custom Shop patch made by me on my little sewing machine thing. I'm pretty sure y'all have probably seen it. What year is my schooling? What year is my schooling? And go. Anybody know what year that school bus is? I'm waiting. Man, we only got 11 people in here? That can't be right. We had like 14 or something, and then I announced that we were going to do the question for the giveaway. And now we only got 11. Like, people who dropped out, they said, I don't want a Hood's Custom Shop patch. And then we got 12. And the chat is stuck. Does anybody know what year YEAR the school bus is? 1989? Way off. Way off. Nope. It's not in the 80s or 90s. Man, that bus must look old. Shoot, dang. I need to get it painted. 11? No. This could take a minute, I guess. I'm pretty sure I've said it several times, like what year it was. No, not a 2014 either. Not a 07. What's up, M&C Family Homestead? Good to see you in your house. Not a 2013. I helped you guys out a whole bunch by telling you it's not in the 80s or 90s. And it's not older than that either. So. It's newer than the 90s. And And you can just put the last, the last two digits. You don't have to put 2000 or whatever. You just put the last two if you want. Not a 2018, not a 2019. A 49, no. Not a 21. It's not a 17. Not a 00. It's not a 2015. I wish it was. Nope, not an 08. Good morning, Rosemary Berry. See, this is how you get people to finally comment. Nope, not a 2000. Somebody already guessed that one. That's close. It's close. Now everyone's scrambling. Nope, not a 19. That was already guessed too. 01, Heather Hooper. There you go. Heather Hopper. You got it. It's a 2001. So you're the winner, the second winner of a Hood's Custom Shop patch. Are you on 69 again? Yep, always. I go I-44, 69, 75, 635, and 175. And then the same road back. Yeah, I'm, where am I? What town is this? This is Wagner, Oklahoma. Congrats on 3,500. I'll tell you what, that is an amazing number for me. I'm blown away. There's 3,500 people that actually hit the subscribe button on my channel. That's taken a lot of years to accomplish. I pretty well just grow my channel organically. I think there's a way like people can pay money or something to, help grow their channel, like to YouTube and advertise it or something. I don't know. I've just heard that. I've never figured out how they do it or whatever. Which, I mean, honestly, wouldn't be a bad deal if you was to pay a little bit for advertisement to help push your videos out. But I would have to make some better videos before I tried to get my channel pushed out there. Gail Sutherland, he said, I was excited to hit my 1,800. Man, I was excited just to hit 1,000. Every little milestone along the way, actually. When I hit 50, I was like, man, that's like more people than what's just in my family. Which really, my family didn't follow my channel until, later on down the road. But like you hit 50 and you're like, wow, this is cool. Then you hit like 100, then 200, 500. I was at about 600 before the first meetup there in Pryor. And I went from 600 and something up to like 990 something, right? It was like really close to 1,000. And then Tim from Ridge Life on his Watch and Grow channel, or Night or whatever, he had featured my channel, and that got me over 1,000, which like just blew me out of the water because I already had my watch hours like years before. I had my watch hours, but I just couldn't get people to hit that subscribe button. A lot of people watched my videos and enjoyed it, whatever. They'd always click on it and stuff. And it's not that I was making like really good thumbnails or really good content. Like, I don't know, there's just something interesting about the videos I was putting out and people watched it. And so my watch hours was well over the 4,000 watch hours per month or per year, whatever it was. Once I hit 1,000, then bam, I was finally monetized. It took forever. It seemed like, 13 years, or at that time I think it was 12 years or so on YouTube, maybe 11, something like that. that's how long it took me. But guys, I started out from not even knowing how to upload a video. I started out from not knowing how to put 2 video clips together. I had no clue. I had never ever edited video. Everything that I have learned on making videos or editing and everything has been, most of it's been self-taught. Anthony helped me out with some things. I mean, things that I already knew, but he kind of showed me how. And, you know, how to like get music to line up. You line up that beat of the music with the music. You know, I'd already kind of been doing that, but I wasn't getting the cut of the video to line up with the beat or the downbeat of the music. And that's a big thing. If it doesn't line up, it just kind of sets the video off a little bit. And, you know, people don't necessarily recognize that, but they will notice it. And it just makes it seem off and not as awesome. And if you're going to put music with your videos, you really got to spend a lot of time, or unless you know exactly what song's going to fit with that, you know, getting everything lined up is pretty crazy. I need to write down the winners. No, Elizabeth, and then what was the other one? I kind of went squirrel already. I think it was Heather Hopper. Let me go back here. Let's see. Heather Hopper said, "Do I even qualify? I'm not in the lower 48." Well, thank goodness it's just a patch. Heather Hopper, email me at davidmehood@gmail.com. My email is in the description tab of my channel. I'll get it sent to you. I don't care what it costs, I'll get it sent to you. I'm just gonna tell customs that the value of it is like $1. Even though it's probably worth more like 20 bucks, you know. That's my guess, you know, for a patch. But I made it myself, and Dawn Lee is the awesome subscriber and friend of mine that, you know, helped. She did all the digitizing and everything, which I'm telling you what, it took several weeks to, you know, get all of the little hiccups or whatever kind of worked out of it, and got it to where I could actually make those. So, I mean, my hat is off to her. If it wasn't for Dawn Lee, those patches would never have happened. Although it would probably be more cost effective for me to have somebody else make them for me, and, you know, just have it done commercially, because it takes up a lot of my time to make those. But I've already got a few of them made up, so you can email me and I'll get that sent out to you. I'm trying to find my notebook so I can write this down. I don't know where my notebook went. It's done disappeared on me. That's weird. point in the next few weeks. Here it is. I don't know if we've hit the 5,000 by now or not. Maybe this live will get us up there. What's up now? Good to see you. See you in here. Yes, Dawn is awesome. And she commented on my video I dropped earlier. She's like, hoping I was catching one of your lives, but it was just a short video. Like, well, when the sun was coming up and I seen it, I did not have the time to be able to start a live up or anything. I just had to hit the record button and start recording. So that was really, spur of the moment, off the cuff kind of deal. Yeah, I can always look back on the video. I got it wrote down now. Heather Hopper and Elizabeth. I know Elizabeth knows how to get a hold of me, like through Messenger or whatever. That is a nice old pickup right there. What is that? Let's see what year it is. I want to say 69. We got to see the hood first before I know what year it is. That's a 68. It's 67 or 68, somewhere around in there. It's got kind of that slope nose on the hood. I used to have a 68 that had that for a very short period of time. I had it for a couple of weeks, and the motor kept getting hot. I kept changing the head gaskets on it, and turns out that it didn't have a Chevy motor in it. It had an Oldsmobile motor in it. Somebody had switched it out for basically about the equivalent, same size as a Chevy 350. It looked just like a Chevy 350, just looking at it. But I found the serial number on it, and it turned out that it was an Oldsmobile motor. And the Chevy 350 heads would fit on there, but it was actually plugging up the water jacket on a couple of holes, preventing it from, the coolant from flowing like it should. It was causing it to overheat. And then the transmission had problems, and so that's actually how I figured out what it was. I went to the salvage yard. I bought a 350 turbo GM transmission, thinking it was a 350 Chevy motor. And I pulled the old transmission out, went to stab the other one on there, and it just would not line up. The bell housing bolts didn't line up. It did not want to plug into the torque converter right. I went back to O'Reilly's about 150 times. I said, what is the deal with this truck? And finally had a guy come look at it. He had the VIN number off of the engine block, and he said, oh, you've got an Oldsmobile engine in a 68 Chevy. And so the guy that I bought it from, I took it back to him and I said, give me my money back. You sold me something that ain't what you said it was. You told me it was a 350 Chevy motor, and it's got an Oldsmobile motor in it, Oldsmobile transmission. It's been overheating, and I built enough money into this thing. It was a nice truck. Other than that, they dropped the wrong motor and stuff in it. So I took it back, and the bad thing is, I had just bought this really nice hunting knife. It was a big old buck knife from Walmart. It's like 50 or 60 bucks, and that was underneath the seat. And I got back home, and I thought about it, and I went right straight back over to his house, and he had already sold that truck again. And that hunting knife was under the seat. I was like, man. So I lost that. Heather says, email sent. All right, awesome. I'll get that out to you guys as soon as possible. Or gals, I should say. That's going to be interesting sending something to Canada. But I'm sure it's not going to cost me a whole bunch. I'll just, I'll go to one of those like shipping places and try to make sure that like the duty tax and all that's taken care of on it. I don't want you to have to pay anything. I know how that stuff can turn out sometimes. I used to have to haul stuff into Canada driving for CFI. And the paperwork and that stuff is just insane. I'm pretty sure I can just pay the duty tax on it. Put it in a regular white envelope. Okay, I'll do that. That way they won't realize, you know, what's in there. We got Commander Bacon in here. Good morning, Commander Bacon. Man, I'd love to have one of them hats. The Brotherhood of the Hat. I ain't got one. Let's see. Right, yeah, pretty dope. Oh boy. Now you're asking for a lot. You want me to write you a letter? I could probably try to do that. That'll help conceal it. Let's see. He said, we can work out something for a hat for you. Shoot, dang. Heck yeah. Yeah, this old Woodland Mills hat, it's going to have to get retired before too long. This is my second one. Luckily I got two of them. It's hard to get a Woodland Mills hat, and it's kind of funny because on their Facebook page, there's lots of people like, I spent almost $6,000 on a sawmill and I can't even get a hat from the company. It's like, no, you got to understand, in order to get a hat from Woodland Mills, you have to write a review. You have to write a review, and you have to tag them in it, and you also have to own, you know, one of their products or whatever. And yeah, so I had went and wrote a couple of different reviews in a couple of different places, did videos, and they seen my YouTube channel, and I guess that's basically their way of sponsoring me, was they sent me a hat. And then let's see, something broke on the sawmill. I can't remember what it was. Like something broke pretty quick, and I got on the Facebook page and I said, hey, you know, this broke, and it was actually my fault that it broke. I said that it was my fault, and I was like, guys, watch out, like, don't do what I did, blah blah blah. And they seen that review, and they sent me another hat, and they sent me the part that broke. Oh, I remember what it was. It was the quick cam, the log dog lock thing, the thing that holds the log in place. It clamps onto the log. It's like a quick cam thing. Well, I had been hitting that with a dead blow mallet, and that's what broke it. And you know, basically I told everybody, hey, you know, this is what I was doing, and it caused it to break, so, you know, don't do what I did. And so they sent me a replacement part, which, you know, didn't cost them a whole bunch of money, and they sent me a hat. I was like, see, that's what you have to do to get a hat from Woodland Mills. And there's guys that's like, I can't even get them to sell me a hat. It's like, well, that's not what it's about. You write a review, and it don't got to be a good review. It has to be an honest review. All right, you know, about your experience with the mill or wood chipper or whatever it is that you bought from them. Was I ever in the military? Nope, I wasn't. I wish I was. I wish I was. I was not in the military. They wouldn't take me. At 18 years old, or not 18, at 19 years old, I tried to go. I went down to the local Navy and the Marines office there in Miami, Oklahoma, I was a welder at J&J Railcar, and I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life. And I felt like I was kind of just going to be a dead-end job and stuff. And I was like, man, I want to go out and travel. I want to do something. So I want to do something interesting, something cool. And, you know, sitting there thinking. I was like, what can I do and get paid well doing it? A lot of people was telling me to go out on the pipeline because I was a really good welder and everything. And I didn't want to go travel Oklahoma. I already lived in Oklahoma. And they're like, yeah, just travel western Oklahoma and get on the pipeline and stuff. Go up into Alaska, do all that, and it pays really good, blah, blah, blah. And I was, you know, at that age, I was kind of scared to death of doing that. And I said, all right, here's my problem. I'm freaking scared to death to do anything. I'm scared to death to go out and travel, spread my wings, you know. And so I said, I'll just go see if I can join up with the military. So I went down there and walked in, and they're like, can we help you? I was like, yeah, I want to join the military. And I was a high school dropout, right? I had dropped out my 11th grade year and never went and got my GED or anything, and still haven't. I just don't feel really a need to do that. And while I was in there, he said, okay, here, you know, because they're asking me, well, you want to join the Army, Navy, Marines, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't know, probably the Marines. And this Marine guy's like, you don't look like Marine material to me. Guy was real skinny and everything. He's like, you'd have a real rough. I was like 150 pounds all the way through high school. I might have been 155 pounds at that time. And he's like, you don't look like Marine material. Maybe you're good for the Army. I was like, I really don't want to do the Army. And he's like, what's your experience like? What have you done? I started telling about some jobs I've had, you know, being a machinist and stuff like that. He goes, what do you think about being in a submarine or in a ship or something? It's like, I don't know. I don't know what it's like on a ship. Never been on one, so I have no idea. And he's like, well, you might fit in being a machinist mate. And then the Marine guy's like, you don't want to be a machinist mate. You're down in the nasty, filthy, nasty crap in the bottom of the ship, you know, making parts, and it's hot, sweating your butt off and all this and that. He's like, that's a real high stress job. He's like, you don't want to do that. I'm like, honestly, guys, I don't know what I want to do. I want to do something with my life. And I was like, my grandpa was in the Army. From what I understand, he was a medic in the Army in World War II. And so I was like, I don't know, I want to do something with my life. My dad was in the, it was kind of like the National Guard type thing. I can't remember exact name what it was. It wasn't National Guard, it was something else. I know they wore like green uniform and stuff, but it wasn't National Guard. It was like the thing before National Guard came in or something like that. But anyway, so he gives me an ASVAB, right? And so I sit down and I'm taking this ASVAB test, right? And when it comes to the math, like the geometry and algebra and stuff, like I was okay with geometry, but like algebra, I didn't quite understand it, you know, because I went like from 5th grade to 6th grade, we moved from Arkansas back to Miami, Oklahoma, and in 5th grade in Arkansas, I was in like your basic math class, right? And when I moved back to Miami in 6th grade, they put me straight into algebra. No pre-algebra, nothing like that. There was no explanation, and it's also in the middle of the year. And they just throw me into this algebra class, and I'm just like, duh, I have no clue what you're talking about, right? So I have no real clue with the algebra. Still not real sure that I know anything about it, but I can design and draw things up and figure out, you know, things with like pi and stuff like that, more like geometry. I don't even know if that has anything to do with algebra. But when it came to the math stuff, I started guessing, right? Guys, I made like a 99 on that. Like, I missed like one question on the ASVAB. How I did that, I have no freaking clue. I just did an educated guess on the math stuff. Like, a lot of the other stuff I knew. But when it came to the algebra side of the math and everything, I was just giving it an educated guess. I kind of messed up because I told him that. Whenever he told me, you know, how good I'd done on the ASVAB, he's like, are you sure you want to be a machinist, mate? He's like, you could be like, you know, in a submarine, you know, doing like looking at the sonar or something like that, or, you know, engineering or something. And I'm just like, I don't think so. That's not me. And I said, I just guessed on some of those questions on the math. And he's like, there's no way you guessed that good and got that many right. I'm like, I don't know. And then they popped this question on me, have you ever smoked marijuana? Well, you know, I'm sitting there thinking they want an honest freaking answer, you know? And so I said, yeah, I've tried it a few times. And they're like, seriously? We don't want your kind in the military. And they would not take me. I was like, damn, I thought you guys wanted an honest freaking answer. I mean, I figured if I said no, you would look at me and be like, you're a freaking liar. We don't want a liar in the military, you know? We don't want someone we can't trust. I don't know. Maybe I read them wrong, but they would not take me for that because I had tried marijuana before. I was like, well, I don't know of anybody from my high school that hadn't at least tried it once, you know? So kind of my view on that was like, if you said you never tried it, you're probably lying between your teeth. It's just like if you say that you've never lied in your life, we know you're lying, right? Everybody has lied. Everyone has sinned. I don't know. But they wouldn't take me because of that. It's crazy. Let's see. They did that to me too, Dave. In Florida, they put me in algebra even after I told them I had no clue what it was. After failing half a year, they put me in pre-algebra where I still had no clue. I mean, I understood like the graph stuff. Like I got that. But I mean, still to this day, I don't know what the point is in algebra unless it's, I mean, they say that it's just a faster way to get to the same answer, whatever. I don't know. I used to build, you know, headache racks for different pickup trucks and stuff, custom flatbeds and things like that. And I had to do, basically it's algebra, or not algebra, I don't know if it's algebra. I had to do geometry, right? And, you know, I started doing that at about 18 years old. And so I had an idea how to lay things out on a tool, you know, from a square edge and do different measurements and stuff and figure it out. And figure out things from pi, you know, different angles using pi and stuff like that. But, I mean, that was just kind of on-the-job training. I didn't know if that was algebra or if that was geometry or what it was. I mean, I had no clue. I just knew how to build things. And I don't know. I guess maybe that helped me out a little bit. None yet, Texas on the back 20. What's up, Jake? He says, morning, Doug. A bacon hat would be awesome. I see Mark Falloon with his hat and I'm jealous. I'm like, freaking Mark got one. I didn't. Dadgummit. Mark's one of my favorite YouTubers. He tells it like it is. I love watching Grumpy Grandpa Patriot Show. I love it. And I love it whenever he does those videos where it's like, he doesn't care if he ever gets monetized. He just tells it like it is. I love that. I'm trying to think, like, is there anything else that I'm forgetting that's new that, you know, when I do lives, I like to give y'all like these kind of like behind the scenes things. Hopefully I get to get started on the painting the bus here pretty soon. I need this weather to cool down. It is way too hot for me. I can't do it. I get out there, I still got to edit the video. I shot so many videos like last week. I've got another video right now that's uploaded. It's ready to go. I'm probably going to drop that video this afternoon on the spray foam thing, the little test that I did. I'll just say this. I've got more work to do, and I ended up taking what I had of the spray foam back to Lowe's and got my money out of it. It turned out to be like $111 that I got back out of that spray foam, what I had left. It was 9 cans. But I've got to spend, I think it's $500 or $600 on the injection spray foam. It's a different formula. It's 2 cans, right? It's a 2-part A and B, you know, just like the spray foam. But this stuff is formulated for exactly what I'm wanting to use it for, and I didn't know that it even existed until I started doing my research, and then I've already started injecting this stuff in the ceiling of the bus, and somebody had commented that I needed to use a 2-part foam, and that really got me to thinking and made me stop what I was doing. Then I did the test and all this and that. You guys will see the results of that in the video, and I'll drop that. I don't know what time would be a good time for me to drop that video for you guys. Everyone, put in there like what time is a great time for you to watch. I mean, you're already in here right now. You know, let me know like in the afternoon time, because sometime between like 4 and 7, or maybe even 4 to 8 is a good, you know, according to my analytics, those are the good times. Like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock is kind of prime time, according to my analytics. But the thing is, like, people who are on at that time they're on not watching my stuff, they're on watching other channels. So I mean, that's basically, I have to try to compete with other channels, which are usually bigger channels. That does not really help me very much unless I drop it before and then give you guys enough time to watch 30-45 minute long video before, you know, someone else goes live, or they, you know, when they normally post their videos. No, at least at any time works for me. His way says any time good for me. Mark wears his Commander Bacon hat a lot. That's a hat that's not easily come by, you know. I think that's kind of part of the prestige of it, you know. It's not that easy to get one. Like a lot of these other channels, like they're throwing hats out to everybody, you know. Like here you go, here you go, here you go, and I don't know. It kind of detracts from it a little bit. If anybody and everybody can get one. His way said, I like to drop them in the morning, and then folks can watch anytime. That's good for them. Jake says he's wearing his Commander Bacon hat out. I'll have mine wore out in, like, you know, if I get one, I'll have it wore out in probably a year or 2, or 3 or whatever. Like, let's see. My first Woodland Mills hat, I wore that thing every day for like 3 years, I think, and I wore it out pretty quick. I washed it numerous times, and then it just kind of started falling apart. It was getting all that sun fading. It was plumb full of sweat. Doug's hats are best. Unfortunately, I'm not ex-military. I just been serving my country in a semi-truck for about 20-some-odd years. That's how I finally discovered how I could, you know, serve my country. That's be out here in a truck, driving, which, you know, in 2000 is when I started driving a truck. And now we're 2022, and so it's kind of been off and on. You know, I've been in welding fabrication, but ever since I got my CDL, pretty much every job I've had required me also to have my CDL. Like, I was a welder and a crew leader, and so I had to drive a truck and haul, you know, skateboard ramps, the steel around, and the welders and the people and everything. We'd go and build skateboard parks all over the United States. I need to actually sit down sometime and think about, like, I don't know if I could even do it, but if I could sit there and think, like, every town, every park where I've built a skate park, that would be pretty cool. one of the ones that really stands out to me, that was kind of a, I don't know, it just, there was a lot of really special things about it. But that was Pierre, South Dakota, the capital of South Dakota. Or maybe, is that North Dakota or South Dakota? I can't remember. It might be North Dakota. Pierre, North Dakota, South Dakota, whichever one it is. I built a skate park up there. Those were wild times. Stuff I probably shouldn't talk about on YouTube. People might start unsubscribing. Like, I was just a wild child back then. I didn't have a wife or kids or nothing. Didn't have a girlfriend. It was all fun. I didn't do any things that, you know, would make you sit there and wonder, do I have a kid in this state or that state? I didn't do stuff like that. But I was still pretty wild back then. Let's see, I have 3 that actively wear one. If it's hot and sweaty, I have new clean hats. I don't know. I used to not hardly wear a hat at all. And I'm kind of thinking, I've been looking around to try to find me like a good, like a straw hat, like a Amish hat or something. Something that really breathes. I know when I was a kid, I had this straw hat, and it was freaking worn out. I mean, you had it was, you know, broke and stuff, had the straw pieces sticking out here and there, and I was always out fishing. And I wore that hat everywhere. You know, I looked like the Huck Finn, you know, basically, as a kid. Walking down the road with a cane pole and a can of corn, or riding my bicycle with a cane pole across the handlebars and a can of corn in my backpack. And a stringer. That was my stuff. I had a little pocket knife. I think I even had a lighter in my pocket. Go out there and start a little campfire. I had a frying pan in my backpack. I'd fry up fish right there. That was me as a kid, like every day. I could not stand to do like normal kid stuff, I guess. Like most of my brothers, except for Terrence, me and TJ, we were like identical. You know, we were a few years apart. He's my youngest brother. There's one in between me and him. But me and him, like, we got each other. We got along real good, and we would go out and build forts in the woods. You know, we'd build dams and stuff. We'd go fishing. We'd go hunt, like, every day. If we weren't in school or out on the farm helping with the hay or picking up rocks or something, you know, we was out fishing or something like that. And yeah, that was my life back then. I'd love to get me a straw hat. So if you can do a straw hat, Commander Bacon hat, that would be like phenomenal, like this crazy. You know, one of a kind. That's kind of the purpose behind me making these patches, is that, you know, people can take that patch and have it sewed on any hat that they want or whatever. And I think that's pretty cool. Plus, you know that I made it myself. I didn't have someone else do it. But I'm actually considering maybe looking to see if there's a company out there that can just make the patches and ship them out for me, kind of do like the drop shipping thing. So I don't have to, you know, handle it or whatever. But I don't know. That kind of detracts from it a little bit, you know, because it's kind of nice. It's like, yeah, this dude made this, you know. I think I may have even put videos out showing a little bit of that. I don't know if I actually dropped any videos on making those patches. I might have showed a little bit of it. I know I've got footage on the hard drive somewhere of me making those patches and all the different, you know, the trial and error trying to get one. I mean, you get like 90% through and you're like an hour into it, and then all of a sudden it messes up and it won't stitch correctly, you know, to save your life. it was a lot of headache, I'll tell you that. And Dawn Lee, she was such a huge help. It wouldn't have happened without her, that's for sure. Oh, you get your hats made from a lady in Oklahoma. Sweet. That's even better. I mean, well, that's really nice. I mean, it's not better than like if you made it yourself, but you know, it's American made. That's freaking awesome. You know. I wonder if you can. Do you do the? Well, do you think you can do the patches? Like sell just the patches or something? I would definitely be willing to buy them. Oh, it's embroidered directly onto the hat. Yeah, machine embroidery is time consuming, especially with the machine I got. I'm sure there's machines out there that you could probably load all the different colors and you know, you just hit the go button and it does its thing. Mine, like every time it goes to a different color, you gotta switch it out, put a different color in. Sometimes I actually have to adjust the tension, and if I forget to, then it doesn't stitch right. Alright, you're working on trying to get patches. Yeah, that'd be cool. And if you get that figured out, you find a good company, let me know. You know, who you decide to go with. I might give them a little bit of my business too. Because I would love to be able to give out patches and stuff, you know, if they're not crazy expensive or something. Be able to ship them, you know, drop ship them from the manufacturer. That'd be cool. It'd be really cool if Old Bunker Branding would take on channels like me and do patches and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe I need to hit them up. Yeah, those machines do exist if you want to invest 10K. Nah, if I had 10K to invest in something, well, I mean, there's a few other things I might invest in, but check this out. I got a person trying to pass me on the left and a person coming in on the right. And alright, they gave up trying to pass me on the left finally. Looks like good old Oklahoma Road. Yeah, it is. Sure is. Yeah, I sat down here at Lake Eufaula the other day for like 4 hours, a little over 4 hours, I think it was. Just sitting there. It sucked. I mean, you're down to one lane. You got concrete barricades on both sides. You can't go anywhere. The people who was up there at the exit ramp would not take it and go around. You know, that kind of bugged me. It's like, man, why don't they take this exit and go back to the previous exit and then go around? You know, yeah, it's a lot of extra miles, but at least we would have been rolling, right? And I just missed that exit too. There was a truck coming towards me, flashing his lights, and I was like, okay, there's a slowdown or a cop or something up here, right? And I come over the hill, and traffic is at a dead stop, and I'm just past the exit. I was like, oh man, I could have took that exit if I had, you know, just went ahead and took that exit right at the top of that hill. I would have been fine. I could have kept going. I could have, you know, it would have been like an extra 40 miles or more, maybe. I don't know. But it would have saved me, you know, 3 or 4 hours. I don't know. It sucked. And that caused me, you know, about a 4.5 hour delay getting started the next morning. You know, I didn't get back to CFI till about noon, I think. It was no fun. And the accident, it didn't look like super bad. I mean, I didn't see a lady that had walked down there, came back, and she told me that a semi truck basically like T-boned or whatever into a pickup and pulled out in front of the semi. And it's in the same spot where I showed a picture. I don't know if I put that on YouTube or it might have been just Facebook, but I posted a picture showing an accident that happened there like a couple months ago or something, where there was a semi-truck laid on its side. And I couldn't understand like how that semi-truck got laid on its side. Well, what it was, someone pulled out in front of him. I guess he slammed on the brakes, swerved, and got into the wall or something, and somehow it flipped him over on his side. And then he was actually in the roadway, and the wrecker just hooked onto him and pulled him up onto the on-ramp to get him out of the flow of traffic so traffic could start rolling again. And then they flipped him over right there. Let's see. Never too late said it. I only ordered one time and never got my order, so I won't order anything else. What'd you order, Miss Mary? You didn't order something from me, did you? I hope not. Like on my bonfire store, it's still up there. It's set up to where if you want to buy any Hood's Custom Shop merch or whatever, it's on bonfire. You just look it up. I think my brother made it to where that link is automatically in my description. So the stuff on my bonfire store, you don't have to, it doesn't have to meet like so many orders. You order it and they will, you know, they'll get it made and shipped out to you. All right, Doug, we'll see you later, man. Have a good one. Let's see. Be safe up there. I'll contact you about the app. Sweet. Well, my chat got behind. Oh, it wasn't for me? Okay. Good. I was like, man, I'm all about customer service. If someone orders something from me, I want to make sure that I get it fulfilled. Which, I mean, I stopped taking like orders on like wood cups and stuff like that, because right now I don't really have the time to like be doing that. Like I need to make some coasters and stuff. I remember that. I need to get that done. But I got like a million other things going on, so I've got to try to get that done. There's a few people I want to get some things sent out to, just as like a thank you. Got 13 people in here. Lake Eufaula is 8 miles away. We'll keep you guys on here at least that long, so you can kind of see the aftermath of that accident. I mean, really all you can see is the concrete barricades got pushed a little bit. But I mean, when I went through there was no vehicles, like no wrecked vehicles. All you could see was like where the concrete barricades had been, you know, hit and pushed over and stuff. So basically, from what I understand, a pickup truck or a car or something, the lady said a pickup had, I guess, pulled out in front of the semi, and the semi hit him. And I guess pinned him into the concrete barricade. As far as I know, like, there wasn't any injuries. As far as I know, I don't know that for sure. I didn't see any ambulances or anything go by. There was like no med flight or nothing. So I really don't think anybody even got hauled off to the hospital, because I got there pretty much right after it happened. There wasn't a whole lot of traffic, and I was not that far away from the accident. I was like maybe a quarter of a mile from the accident scene. So I got there pretty much right after it happened. Elizabeth said, I think someone died. Really? And if someone died, they would have had that shut down for a long time. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look it up and see what happened. But when I talked to the Eufaula Police Department, she didn't act like it was a real bad wreck. She said it was pretty bad, and they were just trying to get the vehicles out of the way. I don't know. Tony said, Dave, I need to head to Tractor Supply and be safe out there. I will, Tony. Thanks so much for popping in here. I can see the Love's truck stop sign over there across the lake from right here. Now, this is that construction zone, but we're on the other side this time. That on-ramp is crazy dangerous. One day I had pulled in there to that truck stop. I think I may have been on live at the time too. But I pulled in there and I seen the parking lot. You know, I knew that it was small like that, but when I got in there, it looked even smaller than what I remembered. And I said, heck no. And so I went on down the road, and I had to get back on this road from that exit. It's the Love's truck stop exit right there. And you have to come to a stop, and in a semi-truck, it's really hard to see behind you to see if there's somebody coming or not, because it's kind of around a bend right there. It's just, that's a dangerous place. I mean, I think what they really need to do is slow it down to like 40 mile an hour right there in the construction zone right near that exit. Or not exit, the on-ramp. Because, I mean, guys coming down through there at 55 mile an hour and someone jumps out in front of you, there's nothing you can do. I mean, like this morning, I hate to tell you all this, but I hit a dog this morning right out the freaking gate pretty much. I got out on I-44, went down probably 2 miles, and next thing I know, this dog just come right out. It was right next to my lane, and I honked the horn, and it did not look at me. It was looking behind itself, like where it just came from, like it was scared to death of something. And there was a line of traffic right beside me. There was a big long line of traffic right behind me, like people riding my butt. So I slowed down as much as I could. I couldn't just slam on my brakes, you know, for fear of someone rear-ending me. And I blew my horn a couple more times, and that dog ran right straight in front of me. And there was nothing I could do. And guys, I'll tell you what, that hurt bad. Like, for miles, I struggled with it a little bit, you know. It sucked. That many years out here, and you know, I've hit a cow before, but I've never hit a dog, and that just about killed me, you know. It sucks. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. It just, you know, it happened. I'm pretty sure it didn't do any damage to the truck or anything, but you know, the only thing I can take from it is thank God it was quick. For that dog, it was done and over with really quick. But yeah, that was really unfortunate. And that's the kind of things that'll stick with you all freaking day long when something like that happens, you know. Right here's that accident scene. You see it right there on the left, right there. They pinned him right there in that wall. They moved that over pretty good. That's crazy. But yeah, I'm really hoping that, you know, the people involved was all okay. I did see the semi-truck later on. The wrecker was on down the road a ways. It was Altom, A-L-T-O-M tanker, which used to be a crude oil hauling company, I believe. But now I think they do more than just crude oil. But yeah, it was a tanker truck, and the front end of it was damaged a bit. I think it messed up the steer axle and stuff. Yeah, right up here, I guess they moved the equipment, but there was like a backhoe and stuff right up here. Let's see, right about here's where I was sitting. Well, actually, right here. Right after this exit right here. That's where I sit. I just came over that. I don't know why someone's calling me. It's one of them features. They're always calling one to talk to me about my home warranty or vehicle warranty and stuff. I'm like, what? Oh, I know something that's new. I haven't even seen it yet, but my oldest son, Colby, that's 18, he went out and got a 2021 Dodge Challenger by himself. No cosigner. 2021 Dodge Challenger. It's all blacked out from what I understand. I'm going to have to go check it out one of these days. But he was at work yesterday afternoon, and I didn't want to bother him. So I didn't get to go see his new car. But yeah, I was like, dude, what? I said, man, if his credit's that good, I should be able to go get me a pickup truck or a tractor at least. And what I really struggle with is like, okay, do I get a tractor or do I get a pickup truck? I mean, I kind of need a newer pickup. I don't need a new one, but I need a newer one. Because that old pickup, it's a 2001, same year as my bus. And it's about on its last leg. You know, that transmission, the other day, I was trying to pass these people that was going real slow, and I, you know, stomped on a little bit, got it down in passing gear, and got around them. And as I got around them, it kicked into neutral. Basically, it's like it's not sucking up the fluid fast enough out of the pan, and it's done that for years. And I've changed the fluid and filter in the transmission like 4. It never helps. Maybe the filter in the transmission's getting plugged up, and so I'll change the fluid and filter. That's not it. I don't know. Dodges are just not known for having good transmissions. That's always the problem with them. The transmissions go out. But 1540 in it. Now it's got a 1540 in it. And that's what I've been adding to it. I think the only way I could be harder on it is if I was to put a chainsaw bar oil in there. I'm pretty sure that'd be pretty hard. But, you know, it's got some, what do you call them? The valve guides are leaking a little bit. So when you first start it up, it'll, you know, a little puff of smoke will come out. So, I mean, it's not like it's leaking bad, but there's enough oil when it sits overnight. Oil will seep down around the valve seats and get in there. And so when you first start it up, it'll, you know, a little puff of blue smoke will come out. And guys, I've been driving that truck since what, 2007? Long time I've been driving that old truck. But yeah, it's been paid off since 2008, which, you know, we had that first downturn in the economy in 08. And I lost my job. I got laid off at Red's Welding and Fabrication. And that's where I got that truck from. That was our old company truck. That's why it's all beat up. You know, it was beat up from being the company truck there. The boss's son was rough on that truck. I'll tell you what, most every ding in that truck is from the boss's son, not from me. If it had been my truck from brand new, it'd probably still look almost brand new. But, you know, they never washed it, never waxed it, and that's why the paint and everything, you know, started fading on that. I've made that truck last a long time. And I feel like it's time for me to maybe, I want to be debt free, but I need a reliable vehicle. And I need something that's at least a 3/4 ton or a 1 ton, because, you know, I haul a lot of heavy stuff, and so it needs to be a diesel motor that's in it. That's kind of why I got the bus, but I didn't intend on getting a big bus like that. So now the bus can't even like do what I originally kind of intended. Well, it can, but I can't go out in the woods and log with it. It's just too big. I can't pull the logger's trailer behind it and, you know, back it in and all that. It's not feasible. It's too big of a vehicle for that. I need something a lot shorter. But I kind of planned on being able to travel around with the sawmill, with the bus, and have a place to stay in it, to be able to go out and spend an unlimited amount of time at somebody's place, you know, cutting down trees, building them up, you know, helping them build a cabin or whatever. guys, I just had no freaking idea that it was going to take me this long to get as far as I have on the bus. I thought, yeah, I'll just get this, and this, and throw it together, and I'll be able to live in it. And now it's kind of turned into a whole different thing. At the same time, the purpose of the bus is also as an RV, you know, it's something that I have that little bit of security. If I was to lose my house, I have a place to live that's paid for. And, you know, now that I'm not losing the house, or at least I don't think I am yet, hopefully I get an email today saying that the payment went through. If not, they might try to foreclose on it, because that, well, we're only a month behind. I don't think they can really foreclose, but they can actually not finalize the paperwork, which they might be able to foreclose if they do that. And that's why I've been on my wife's butt. It's like, hey, you know, you said you made this payment, but for some reason the bank returned it, and she's tried to make the payment again, but it still hasn't come out. And I think it has to do with her card. It's on a green dot card, I guess, which I don't know why she does things the way she does them. She showed me that the money's in there. There's $800 in there to cover that. So I don't know why it hasn't been paid. It's just, I don't know, it's weird. I told her, I said, why don't you just take the money out of that or off of that and put it in my account so it will freaking get paid, because there's no problem with paying it through my account. No problem at all. I don't know what's going on with that. But I can't believe my son got a freaking new car, that new of a car. I mean, I told him it was a stupid move because it's a $30,000 vehicle and he's paying like $600 and something a month for it. I was like, yeah, I could probably swing a $600 or $700, $800 payment on a vehicle. I could probably do that, but I don't want to. I mean, if I go in there to get a newer pickup, there's no way I'm paying $600. No more than $600. I wouldn't even pay that much. They're crazy if they think I'm going to pay that much. I mean, if I wanted a payment that high, I would go buy a semi-truck and pay $1,000 or $1,200 a month, and I would be out there making $20,000 every 2 weeks. I mean, I got to be able to make a crap ton of money in order to spend that kind of money on a vehicle payment. I mean, you can go get a pretty high dollar tractor and only be spending $300 or $400 a month, you know. I think I can probably get a cheaper pickup, but if I get a tractor, I want to get something that's new. I don't want to get a used one that's going to have, you know, other issues or whatnot. I don't know. I got to go down and look at them. They may have like a perfect, barely used tractor or something that would fit my needs. And if they can throw in a grapple or something like that with it, and some pallet forks, I might say, okay. I don't know. I've just been used to my credit being crap for so many years that I have no credit, basically. I have no credit cards, no credit. The only thing on my credit is my house, which I don't even know if that's good or bad. It should actually be good because I'm technically just a month behind. I mean, they show that I'm like $20-something thousand behind right now, but once they finalize all the paperwork, it'll be brought up to date. I don't know. I may just have to make that payment with this next paycheck. I couldn't do it with this last one. I wanted to, but I couldn't. And I've still been procrastinating about going in there and filing exempt on my taxes. I was just talking to my wife about that yesterday. And she says, you're paying how much every week? And I said, well, my paycheck is this much, and this much is how much I take home. So I'm paying like $600 to $700 a week in taxes. I said, that's insane. You know, with the write-offs and stuff I have with my businesses, what I'm paying in taxes is crazy. I mean, I'll get that back at the end of the year, but I don't want to wait till the end of because I end up filing with my wife, and if I do that, then she gets half of that, and I don't want to do that. And she doesn't. I mean, she doesn't want to file together this year, which would take, that would give her the kids, 2 of the kids to take off on her taxes, which is kind of stupid, honestly. But I'm like, whatever. You can take those, for a write-off or whatever. I don't need them because I still have write-offs from last year that I wasn't able to claim, or the year before that I wasn't able to claim last year, that I've got to claim this year. You go and buy a sawmill and everything, like what I put into the sawmilling business and everything, that is like a crazy amount, and I wasn't able to claim all that. I'm really hopeful that maybe this year I get enough back and be able to get a kiln. If I could get 10,000 back, which I doubt, if I could, then I would probably invest that in getting a kiln, an actual kiln set up. I figured out how to get this truck to do 67. Apparently I can't pass this guy. He decided to speed up. I just sped up to 67, and he sped up. So what they did is they did turn the truck up where it was capable of doing 67, but they don't tell you that you have to lift your foot off the pedal, press it to the floor, lift your foot all the way up again, and press it to the floor again. You got to do that twice. You do that twice in a row, all the way to the floor, and it'll pick up 2 more miles an hour. I was like, why didn't you guys tell me that to begin with? It's like I had the truck in here 3 times now, complaining that you guys didn't turn it up. You're telling me, yeah, we turned it up 2 miles an hour, but there's a secret to it. Like, come on, what the heck? That's what it was. I took it in yesterday because when I took the Rangeline Road exit there in Joplin, there was a dump truck all the way over in the passing lane on I-44, and a rock fell off of the tailgate of his dump truck and bounced on the pavement. I seen it come up and smack my windshield over on the passenger side. Like, I can't see it unless I lift up the visor, because I have my sun visors down, so it's not in my line of sight or anything, but it put a nice little rock chip in my windshield. And so I had to take it in there to them for that, and they actually got it scheduled for Saturday. On my day off, they have a guy come in that fixes windshield, like the rock chips and stuff like that. So I had to take it in for that, and I was complaining. I was like, you guys told me twice now that you turned my truck up, but it won't go any faster. He goes, are you hitting the pedal twice? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, you got to let up off of it, press it all the way to the floor, let up off of it, press it all the way to the floor. You got to do that twice, and then it will pick up 2 miles an hour. I'm like, you could have told me that before. That's pretty simple. Like, just tell me. And he goes, here, I'll print it out for you. I'm like, no, you don't need to print it out for me. I was like, that's pretty simple instructions. All you had to do is tell me. He goes, all right, I'll print it out so everybody, they're going to stick it on the window where everybody can see it. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Yeah, you would think they would have mentioned that. Other than they really don't want you to know. I guess they kind of want you to go a couple more weeks or something complaining about it. Like, hey, it don't go no faster. What the heck? And I'm sure every driver out there is probably, complaining about it. Like, you guys, you said you turned it up, but it won't go no faster. I complain every time. I'm like, why did you guys ever turn them down from 72? Which is a stupid question, because I know the answer. The answer is like a few $1 million a day, to be honest. I mean, when you think about how many trucks they have out there on the road, and if you cut your truck back from 72 to 65, I don't know what the percentage is, but I know it's more than 30%. They're saving 30% plus on fuel just by slowing the truck down from 72 to 65. And especially today, at today's prices of diesel, that's a lot. That's a crazy amount. 13 people in here. I don't know how long you guys want me to stay on here. I don't want to stay on here all day though. It always boils down to money, yeah. Yep. I was talking to one of the shop guys the other day in the inspection bay. Because he knows that I was an owner-operator before. I have an idea, like, how much a truck makes and stuff. And he's like, I was complaining about the speed and everything. And he goes, how many companies you think we're going to buy this year? And I'm like, I don't know, but I hope none. Because, you know, I know why, or I know some of the reasons why they buy companies. I don't know all of them. I mean, some of it is to get, you know, more freight, to get more customers, but those customers don't come with that company. And when a company sells all their equipment and their operating center, blah blah blah, their employees and everything kind of goes with it, you just buy up their whole business, right? And you know, you have to try and keep all of those customers, you know, that they had previously. And there's nothing keeping those customers. Like, if that company sells all of their old equipment and everything to you, they can go out tomorrow, start up another company, start at $350, start up their own authority again, another name, blah blah blah, and all of their employees can quit and come over and work for them, and you just inherited all their junk equipment basically, and then they can go in and systematically just take all their customers back. You know, they just say, hey, yeah, we started up under this other name, and they can get all their customers back. Which, I mean, and then you're stuck with all this equipment, maybe even lose all the drivers that came with that equipment, all the dispatchers and everything, the whole setup, right? I don't know. I see the main reason for buying trucking companies is it helps your CSA score. The more trucks you have in your fleet makes your numbers look better on your CSA score. So if you, instead of going out and buying all brand new trucks, you just buy a company for pennies on the dollar basically. You incorporate all their equipment, bring in all their drivers and everything, and suddenly your score looks freaking great again, which in return helps you get customers. Because a lot of customers, especially big corporate customers, they look at your CSA score, and if it doesn't look so good, they might go with a different company. They might go with Werner or Swift or JB Hunt. You know, if their CSA score looks better, they're going to say, well, we would rather put our money into a safe company, right? So if you had a bad fatality wreck in your company, what do you got to do? Instead of, you know, you might spend a few $1 million, you know, paying for that family, you know, their loss and everything. You know, if you're self-insured or whatever, you're going to be out a few $1 million for that, right? So then, like, you could be hurt even more as a company if you start losing freight because of that, because your CSA score looks better. So then you just spend a few $1 million and buy up another company, and you bring on a bunch of new power equipment into your company that may or may not even be being used, and it makes your numbers look better, helps you get more freight. And what do? They trade that equipment in, and they buy brand new trucks, because the only way you can hang on to drivers is you pay them well, you give them great benefits, and give them a brand spanking new truck. That's how you hang on to a driver nowadays. There's not a whole lot of loyalty in trucking anymore. I mean, like this deal right here, it would be really hard to get me to quit this. I mean, I turned down a job making an insane amount of money just to do this right here, because I get a lot more home time. It's like a dedicated run. I get to be home more often, and it makes it possible for me to still do a little bit of YouTube, still do the build on the bus, you know, a little bit of woodworking and stuff here and there. I'm starting to get that itch back to do some woodworking. So yeah, I was burnt out on woodworking for a bit. I mean, it kind of happens to me every year, and it's usually about the time the winter comes in, right before Christmas. That's when I really feel like just staying in the shop and working inside, doing some woodworking and stuff. I really, really, really need to get a carport built over top of the concrete slab outside and get that enclosed. I may have to shift from working on the bus and, you know, take my attention from that for a little bit and see if I can't get a little building built over top of that. Try to get it enclosed so I can make my wood shop bigger. You know, if I'm going to keep that house, I'm going to have to make it into something that I actually want, and something I want to keep. As of right now, that house needs a lot of work. I had mentioned to Sid from the Crouch Ranch that, you know, it's like, hey, I could sell you my house, but it needs a lot of work. I mean, a lot of work. I could sell it for an insane amount of money, or I could sell it for a reasonable amount to someone like that and just take off, you know, for like, it needs a whole new air conditioner, heating and air system put in, or, you know, if somebody wanted to buy it, I could have everything done, but I don't think that would work out for them because, you know, number one, it's only 2 acres, a little over 2 acres, I think. And half of that is virtually unusable as far as like crops or you know, grazing. I mean, if you wanted goats, it would be great for goats because it's a hillside, it's pretty steep, and goats would be fine on that property. You just got to put a fence all the way around it, right? It wouldn't be bad for goats, but you can't like have cattle. Really, I mean, it's too small for cattle. You could have a few pigs there, but it's a really small property, right? And the house needs a ton of work. So what I think I need to do is just hang on to it, because as of right now, I could get a lot for it, but my family's not ready to move. And once they all move out, once my kids are old enough and they've all moved out, and hopefully maybe, you know, my wife, she's adamant that she wants a divorce. And so I tell her, like, go get one. You're going to pay for it. I'm not doing it. Because I don't want a divorce. I want things to be better, but they're just not going to get better. So basically I've just figured out, hey, it's done, it's over with. And that's why I live in the bus instead of in the house. I just, you know, I'm waiting for her to be in a spot financially where she can afford to go rent her own place. With her car payment and everything and her job, well, she could do it. She makes almost as much as I do per month, so. And I do the house payment. I can pay the house payment, the electric bill, everything, right? I can pay all that myself, but that takes away from, you know, the bus bill and, you know, putting money into things like that. That's a few $100s here and there for doing little projects, but I don't know. I got to figure things out. Once they get moved out or whatever, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to keep the place or not. Depends on what I can get for it, but I'll probably actually start remodeling and rebuilding stuff. I've got that major rock damage by the sliding glass door on the back of the house. That's the only structural damage on the house, is that. I need to get a new roof put on it. Let's see. It needs a new well pump. I need to put in a French drain around the back side of the house and stuff. kind of thinking about kind of cheaping out on that. Instead of putting in a French drain, I'm thinking about having a lot of dirt work done and have that grade brought down where it's not even an issue anymore. I know, like, we've not been having an issue with it here lately, but in the past, when we first bought the house, on the garage, the wall in the garage, it's a cinder block wall, and there's dirt up against that. We've had moisture come through that wall before, and I ended up having to paint that, the Kills block sealer paint on there, and that, you know, it got rid of the mold and stuff that was coming through that block and everything, and sealed it all off and everything. I've not had any issues with it here lately, or since then. But, you know as well as I do, it will become an issue eventually again. So it's either you dig it up and put in a French drain and do it right, or deal with it later when the black mold starts coming through the wall again, you know. Or you just dig it up, do the dirt work out there, and not put a French drain in, and just bring the grade down to where the moisture doesn't set up against the side of the house. Which, I mean, I've always, like, looking at that property, I've always sat there and thought, well, a person really should just go in and bulldoze that house down, or tear it down piece by piece, and build a cabin out, you know, in the backyard further away from the road, flatten out that whole spot where the house is, and just build a big wood shop there or something, you know, something that's, you know, a big shop that I can run a business out of, and then I can live in a little cabin out back, or maybe even just park the school bus out back and live in that. I don't know. The well, I need to put a new well pump in. Now the pressure tank is just fine. The pressure tank's great. Last time I had a guy come out, I told him, I said, I want a brand new well pump. I want all new piping from the well pump all the way up, all the way through the entire house, all new plumbing. All right, I was making really good money back then. I didn't care. I said, I want a new well pump put in. I want all new pipe, all new wire, the whole, like, brand new. Brand spanking new is what I want. And he gave me a price for it. And he came in, and you know what he did? He changed out the capacitor, which got the well going again. He goes, there you go, it's good to go. Well, I came home and I discovered that he didn't charge me what he said it was going to be, and he didn't do all the work that he said he was going to do. He just changed out a capacitor that had went bad, and so the well was able to start up again, and we were back to still having, you know, fairly low water pressure. And a lot of that has to do with how deep the well is, and, you know, what the water table is sitting at. It was wrote down. He said that he read where it was wrote down inside that box that the pump is sitting at 800 feet and the static water level was at 150. Well, that was back when the well was first drilled. So, I mean, who really knows what the static line is at now? But I notice a big difference. Like, when we start having a drought, the water table drops and our water pressure goes down. So, I mean, and it goes down a lot. We do have hard water. So, what was it? I can't remember. I think it was 2016, I want to say. 2015 or 16 is when we bought that house. And I had to change out the hot water heater then and there. I went in there. We didn't have the inspection done on the house, the mechanical inspection done. And so after after the fact, after signing for it and everything and taking possession, I go in, and what do you know, like, we have, like, hardly any pressure at all. I don't know what they did, but when we went and checked the house out, we did it twice. We went and checked it out twice. We looked at it the first time, made an offer on it. They countered. I made another offer. They agreed. And then we went in for another inspection of the house before we signed off on it. and there was great water pressure. I mean, insane water pressure. Then we sign and everything, take possession of the house, and we go in there, and there's hardly any water pressure. And I'm like, what the heck? So I think what they did was they got the pressure tank filled up, and then they went and they added air to that tank. The pressure tank is a bladderless pressure tank, which I guess you can't buy those anymore. It's a galvanized steel tank. And the well guy that came out, he said, you don't want a new pressure tank. He goes, the new pressure tanks have a bladder in them that can go bad. He said, this one, if your water pressure is bad, you just add air to the tank. And so apparently that's what they did, was just add a lot of air pressure to the tank, which would give you a ton of water pressure at first for a short bit of time. So that was our little trick on selling the house, is they added air pressure to that tank. And we did, we didn't turn the water on and just leave it running. We just turned it on. I was like, man, that's good pressure, right? And then shut it off. They seen us coming, Had it just been me back then looking at that house, I wouldn't have bought it. There's no way I would have bought that house. Because I walked in, and the first words out of my mouth was, wow, they picked out the cheapest flooring possible to put in here. I mean, they did the vinyl flooring, but it was the cheapest stuff. Like, if it gets wet, it swells up and falls apart. So, if a dog pees on it and you don't clean it up pretty soon, it makes the floor start falling apart. And that's what has happened in the dining room, which we don't even use the dining room or anything, but because I was out on the truck for years and never really home to clean house or anything, and my wife wouldn't clean house, I come home and it's a mess, and animals have peed on it, and they hardly ever mop the floor and ruin the flooring. So I got to put all new flooring in, which I got to pull the flooring up, and I got to replace the subfloor. There's like particle board. It's like 1 inch thick particle board that's underneath that, and then there's the pine flooring or Douglas fir flooring that's underneath that. So I actually have to go in and pull all of that up. It's going to cost me thousands and thousands of dollars to fix all that and do it the right way. I mean, sure, I could go in, just pull up the flooring and lay down new stuff over it and hide it, In the kitchen, and the dining room, the living room, the subfloor might actually be fine. But in the upstairs where we had carpet, that particle board is ruined. It's no good. T&J Homestead, good morning. Welcome. Haven't seen you in here before, but welcome. Yeah, and then the water damage from the back porch, they attached the back porch, the rear deck, they attached it directly to the sill boards of the house, which was stupid. There was no moisture barrier between it, and so like every time it rained, moisture would get down in between those boards and just sit there and wouldn't dry out. And when you attach a deck to a house, you're just supposed to put like a block of 2x6s every so often, so the air can get in there and dry it out. You're not supposed to sandwich it directly to the house without some kind of moisture barrier in there. So they screwed up on that, and it caused it to rot out the sill boards right there. And I feel like I need to actually have an actual contractor come in and do that work. I had a subscriber message me, like send me an email before, and they are a contractor. I don't know who they are, where they're from, but the person had, contacted me and said, hey, I would like to come in and help you. I'm a contractor, all this and that. And I'm like, I'm a little scared of that, right? Like, I don't know who this person is, never met him before, never talked to him before on here, but they follow my channel. And I would, there was no mention of, I'm going to cover cost of materials or anything like that. And at the time, I didn't have any income. So there was no way for me to pay for the materials. And I'm not just gonna like come back to someone and be like, oh yeah, you want to come out and fix my house? Come on out, you know. And then them show up and I don't even have the materials to fix it, you know, or the money to buy materials to fix it. I was like, I'm not doing that. So I never even, I don't think I ever really like went further with that in that conversation with them. It was just kind of like thanks, you know, but I don't know how to even go about starting this whole process. I don't have the money, that sort of thing. Mouth is dry now. Oh man, I've got to buy propane this year. We had 10%. I think it's a 500 gallon propane tank, and we had like 10 or 12% when we first bought that house back in, I want to say it's like towards the end of 2015. It may have been 2016 when we got it, I can't remember for sure, but it was like 10 or 12% in that propane tank, and it's still showing like 10 or 12%. I mean, it's been on fumes for that many years. But we only run the stove and the oven off of it. We don't heat the house with the propane or nothing like that. So the propane lasts a very long time. And, you know, I used to cook pretty much every day on that. It kind of blows my mind how long it's lasted. See any more chat in there. Hauling a light load today. Let's see, what else is new? I don't know if I said hi to you this morning, Barry, or not, but good morning. So that's really my struggle is, you know, I don't want to go into debt. I don't know if I want to sell the house right now or not, because it kind of puts the kids in a bind sort of thing. I basically forced my wife to have to move out. And then, you know, the other thing is, you know, possibly having to give her half of, you know, what it sells for. And I don't want to do that either. I want her to get a divorce and sign it over, you know, saying that she wants nothing to do with the house, that she doesn't want half of it. You know, basically just, you know, she's taking the kids and leaving, basically, if they want to go with her. They're old enough now, they can decide, you know, where they want to go. My youngest son, he might want to stay there. I mean, he's 16. He's got or did have a job. I don't know if he has a job now, but I don't think he wants to change things right now. And I think, you know, if he was to move somewhere with his mom, I don't think he would be super happy with the, you know, setup. So right now, I really don't want to get rid of the house at the moment. It would have to sell for a freaking amazing amount of money for me to let it go right now. Because houses right now are, like, I don't know. I can't seem to grasp, like, how much housing has went up. It's more than double. It's almost quadruple in price. Even land is starting to go way up. I looked at land the other day and it was like 1 acre, $30,000. I was like, that's crazy. For 1 acre, 30 grand? Nah. Listening, just cleaning and making soap. Oh, you're making soap. That's something I wanted to get into a long time ago. Never really got into it. I was going to do it kind of the old school way, or so I thought, with I had a big cauldron that I'd bought for about $100, and and I was just going to use wood fire to make soap. Use the ash and everything from it. I never got into it though. Never built the thing that I was going to build. Housing and properties up, yeah, everywhere. It's all the people moving out of California to the Midwest, and I think a lot of it has to do with it's hard to grow crops out in California in some areas. Some areas it's good. You can grow all kinds of stuff out there, pretty almost year round. But the political atmosphere out there is just really pushing people out, and it makes me wonder why. Like, why are they pushing people out? Pretty much, like the way things are, just making people leave in droves, and it's been that way for years. But in the last couple of years, it's really a lot of people leaving there. I've seen an ad on the internet before, U-Haul looking for drivers to bring equipment back to California because of all the people renting U-Hauls to haul their stuff out of California, and they don't have enough people getting the equipment back into California to rent it out again. Yeah, I seen that Sid and Mike actually have an offer on their house, and they have accepted it. So that's, in my world, that's pretty much a done deal. when someone makes an offer and you accept it, and then you're into escrow, it's all about just getting the paperwork done. And a lot of times it's like, that's like a month away, At least that's how it usually works in my area. Once you've signed a contract, went into escrow and everything, it's pretty much a done deal. It depends on kind of like who it is and where they're getting their loan from and that sort of thing. I mean, like if it's a rural development loan like what I got, there's a lot of hoops and everything, inspections and all that, and all the different criteria. Like there has to be a certain height of crawl space underneath the house. There has to be like so many mil thickness of visqueen plastic underneath the house as a vapor barrier. Different stuff like that. Like the attic has to be insulated to a R13 or whatever. It may be different now, but it's like it has to meet like HUD housing requirements, that sort of thing, in order to get that sort of loan on it. You have to have like so many outlets per wall, or per so many feet of wall or whatever, so many outlets per room, different, like craziness, right? Everything has to be up to date. On my house, they wouldn't give me the loan on the house unless I signed a waiver, because the well was within 50 feet of the septic. But the septic is downhill from the well. So I was like, yeah, I'll sign that, because there shouldn't be any issue with it. It's not like the septic is right there by the well. It's actually downhill from it. I mean, there's no way that it can flow uphill. And it can go kind of laterally, but that's highly unlikely, especially in the soil type that we have. There's a lot of clay content. There's a lot of clay and rock in the soil there. My property actually used to be, I guess, on the bottom of the ocean, because we have these clay-like rock structures. Like any rock you pick up out there, you look at it and it's got fossils in it. And it's got all these little sea fossils and stuff in it. It's kind of neat. I just hope that Sid and Mike move like into this area, right? Like they said into the tree line of Oklahoma, right? I'm like, that's what I would do. But I would try to get more like into southwest Missouri, because if you look at the flood map, like if that you know, where they say like, you know, the crazy flood that could happen that would wipe out, you know, most everybody. And then I think you can do it on Google Earth. I don't know. I did it years ago when we was buying the house, and like the little area where I live would actually, you know, most of Oklahoma would be underwater. And then the little area where I live would actually be an island. I thought that was kind of interesting. Not that I'm really worried that that would happen. I mean, there is a lot of people that move to the Denver, Colorado area because of its elevation. There's a lot of preppers that move there just because of its location and its height and everything, its elevation. If you consider all things, all things that's possible, that you're kind of like, this could happen. Plus, looking at rainfall amounts and stuff like that, the growing season. You go just a little ways over in Oklahoma, and it ain't so good. You go more than a couple hundred miles west in Oklahoma, and it's not good at all. There's almost drought every year. Every year I was hauling crude oil out in western Oklahoma, it was bad. Every year it was pretty bad drought all summer long. It's like a desert out there. I mean, yeah, in Alva, Oklahoma, which is where I was a lot of the time, was right there around Alva. Nasty oil there. I don't know why people live out there, or why they buy land out there, but they do. There's a few cool attractions out that way, but not very many. My wife and kids come out a few times, and we would go out to the different caverns and things like that, go check it out. We went out to the big, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a big, like, a sand flat or salt flat, and there's you can mine crystals there. Just go around and dig up the sand and dirt, and there's literally crystals right there. Oh wait, it is a desert here. Yeah, I could not live in Arizona. Well, I take that back. There are some nice areas in Arizona. If I was going to live in Arizona, it would probably have to be pretty close to Flagstaff, where there's lots of trees, kind of up in the mountains and stuff. It's a little bit different climate than, down in Phoenix. The Phoenix area, man, it's like you come out of Flagstaff, you go down into Phoenix, and you go from like the 60s and 70s down into like 101, 102, 120. I mean, I've been out there to Phoenix many times, and it's like 120 degrees every single day. You go out in it, and it's like, this ain't bad. You can feel it's hot, but you don't feel the heat like you do here. I mean, here at 105, I think it was like 105 heat index yesterday, with the humidity and everything, it feels like it's killing you. 120 degrees out in Phoenix, it's like, this ain't bad. If you added the humidity in, you'd probably fall over dead. I don't know. I don't like the thing about like the Phoenix area is like hardly any grass anywhere. Water is like a highly prized commodity. I've heard, I don't know how true it is, but I've heard that at certain times they ban like watering your lawn and stuff like that. No thanks. I'll stick to the Ozark areas. It is nice over here, all kinds of different species of trees and stuff. And being a woodworker and having a sawmill so I can provide myself with wood, that's pretty important to me. Every time I had to leave out and go back to like western Oklahoma, like that trip, like the further I got away from home, the less and less trees I seen, the more it started to look like a desert. The hotter it got, the windier it got. I felt a sense of dread the further west I went into Oklahoma. And it just, like a heavy feeling. Like, man, going back out here for several more months. It wasn't like this job right here, where it's like, okay, I'm headed out of town and I'll be back tomorrow. When I left out of town to go work in the oil field, I was going out there to be out there for like 3 to 6 months. I was going to be gone for a long time, and it sunk. I don't know. It's hard to explain it. Like, a lot of people can't probably visualize or fathom like what that's like to leave your family for months and months at a time. It was the hardest thing to leave out. The hardest thing. But you had to, because you had that truck payment, a trailer lease payment, insurance payments. You had thousands and thousands of dollars of payments that you had to make every month, so you had to go to work. You had to go out there, you had to stay out there. Because the rates, I don't know where they're at right now. I imagine they're pretty good right now. If the price of oil is at over $100 a barrel, then people hauling crude oil are making crazy good money usually. Especially if it stays there for about 3 months, then their rates come up. In the in-between times, usually they've got to keep those guys running, so they end up paying a fuel surcharge to help make up for it. But eventually, they make really good money, especially if there's a boom. But they say there's never going to be another boom in Oklahoma. I'm not so sure. I think there's a ton of oil and natural gas in the ground. I think it's even more so more east, and they've just been leaving it alone because it's probably not as easy to get to as it is, the shallower stuff that they haven't got to yet that's out west. And that's why the oil fields just keep moving further and further west. There's already oil field in California. I've met guys that's like telling me that they used to haul oil out in California. Well, there's people in Denver hauling crude oil. The company I worked for had people in Denver. They had people in North Dakota hauling crude oil. They kept trying to get me to go to North Dakota in the winter time. I was like, hey, no. You talk to guys that came from there, they're like, yeah, you have to chain up like every load. You got to chain up your tires in order to get into a place like you're on a paved road that is plowed, so you can't have your chains on. Then you get to the lease road and you have to put your chains on. So you're talking like hours and hours and hours for each load, because you're having to put chains on and stuff like that just to get to the well site. And then spend an hour loading, another hour or two getting out of there, then unchaining, then driving to the lat to unload, and then sitting there for 45 minutes to an hour to unload. So you're hauling like 1, maybe 2 loads a day. It doesn't matter if that load is paying $500 a load. You're not making what you need to be making to be running in those kind of conditions. So, I mean, it honestly kind of evens out. Unless they're selling oil for over $100 a barrel, then it pays enough, then it's good. But I was hauling oil back when it was like $30 and $40 a barrel. Like super cheap. We could barely afford to keep our trucks running, And yeah, I made good money, but it cost a lot of money to run that truck too. It was a struggle, I'll tell you that. Especially if you have somebody back home that just loves to spend money. And where all that money went, I don't know. I have a feeling that's why she won't let me see what's in her account. That's why, like, she's trying to pay the house payment with a green dot card. because I have a feeling that if I knew how much she had, that I would sue her, because that's money that she stole from me, that she stole from my company, that is what caused me to have to sell my truck. I need to get off that stuff. That's gonna break me down today. 3,500 subscribers, hopefully by tomorrow. Hopefully I already hit it by now. That's amazing. Truly amazing. And what is it that Oklahoma Adrenaline Life and Backwoods Mindset is trying to get to? Is it 5,000 or 4,000? I can't remember. But they got a little competition going on. I'm sure all you guys probably know. But whichever one is the loser of getting to the 4,000 or 5,000 mark, whatever it is, like they're kind of almost neck and neck. I think Backwoods is behind like 300 and something I've seen on the last video that the Crockers had put out. But whichever one loses has to fish or go fishing in a dress on a live. Yeah, I would not do that. I don't think you'd ever catch me doing a competition like that. Maybe that's why my channel doesn't explode. Because I'm like, nah, I ain't doing that. I get everybody and their brothers like, you need to pose for a calendar picture in a banana hammock. And I'm like, that's not happening, ever. Number one, I'm never going to wear a freaking banana hammock. That ain't going to happen. And I'm dang sure ain't going to be getting no dang picture taken of me. Yes, I'm sure the house is not in her name. She is on the deed. It's not in her name. But since we're married, she is on the deed. And so therefore, I have to have her sign to, I guess, get her name taken off, or I have to get her name taken off, whatever it is. Her name is not on the loan, which is why I don't want to pay it down right now. I don't want to go and dump like every dime that I make, you know, like the Dave Ramsey says to do or whatever, like, you know, whatever your debt is, you know, just throw everything you have at it. I don't want to do that because she hasn't signed anything saying that she wants nothing to do with it. So I'm only going to make my regular payments for right now until she gets a divorce. And she wants to get a divorce before she has to file this next year. And I'm like, you know, technically I'm the one paying for everything for the kids. You know, food, electric, the house payment, like all that big ticket stuff. And she's either just saving her money and paying on her car. Like, she pays no bills whatsoever. She has yet to pay on the electric bill. It blows my freaking mind. I mean, what she does is she'll wait until we get a shutoff notice, and then she takes that to economic security and gets them to pay it. That's what she done last month when she was supposed to pay last month's electric bill. She had economic security pay it. You know how I found out? I got a letter in the mail stating that they paid half of our electric. I'm like, really? So then I had to go pay the other half of it because she said that she had spent her money. And they're the ones using the electric. I mean, well, I'm using some of it. I've got a couple of extension cords running out to the bus to run the AC now. But before that, it was running that LED light and a fan, or actually two fans. I had two fans in there going. That doesn't use up a bunch of power. They're the ones using the hot water heater. They're the ones using, I mean, the well doesn't pull much power. I pump water out of the well too. So, I mean, I'm not using much. I got the solar on the bus that runs most everything in the bus. She's using the washer and dryer. I use the washing machine in my bus that runs off my solar. And then I have a retractable clothesline in the bus, and I hang my clothes up and let them dry inside the bus like that, which I actually just done laundry yesterday. That dryer and the hot water heater are the two like major power consumers. Plus the air conditioner's running 24 hours a day inside the house just to try to keep it cool in there. It's kind of a crappy deal for me. I never wanted that house, and she's the one that talked me into it. I told her right from the get-go, I said, I don't like that house, there's just something about it. Okay, what really kind of gave me the willies about that house, when we went and looked at it the first time, I went in there and there was crosses everywhere. And I was like, okay, this is a little weird. I mean, I don't get weirded out by there being a cross on the wall, but when there's like 30 crosses on every wall in every room of the house, it's a little obsessive. Like, it's kind of weird, right? And like there was cross reflections in the windows and everything. I was like, okay, that's weird. And then they tell you that the old man that actually owned the house or whatever, I guess it was the grandpa or whatever, had passed away in that house. I was like, okay, thanks for telling me that crap. But they're like, yeah, we have to disclose all this, blah, blah, blah. Like, I could have went the rest of my life without knowing that and been fine with it. You know, if there was a ghost in the house, I don't give a crap. They ain't doing nothing to me. I just didn't really want to know that, like, he had died in there. I don't know what room he died in, but that was, those kind of things is like what makes you sit there and go, I kind of want to tear it down. I want to bulldoze it. Is it haunted? Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, it's not like a bad ghost or anything. It's just every now and then you'll see something out of the corner of your eye, and you'll be like, you know, it'll make you jerk your head and be like, what? You know, I've not had that in most houses I've lived in, but we have it there, you know. Or you'll hear like the stairs creaking or something. It's probably from the wind, but yeah, it's just I've seen like something, like somebody out of the corner of my eye. Oh, Paragon Ridge Ranch is on here. I didn't notice it. Good morning. What's up, Chrissy? I heard that Mullet Man got grounded for something. I was just watching the Crocker's video this morning. They said something about that. The moderators, I can't hardly read your all's names in there. That blue doesn't show up great. Oh yes, I was joking. He sent me, man, I'm having a hard time reading. This road's really bumpy right here. Every time I try to focus on it. Maybe the road will smooth out here in a minute. Jumping and turning down to the side by side. Did he catch some air? I think he's put a video out, and I clicked on it, I think last night or this morning, to, you know, put it in my watch later list. I've got to go back and watch it. But I seen something that he had dropped a video. He has too much hair. Yeah, as a parent, you're like, holy crap! I know what it's like. I got kids too, and they do some crazy stuff. Like, I don't know. I done crazy stuff back in the day, and I just told my mom, it's like, oh, I got this. I'm being safe. I know what I'm doing. She's like, you're giving me a heart attack. We used to ramp these ramps and be like 5 and 6 foot tall, you know, so even if you like just came off the ramp, you were already had 5 or 6 foot of air, and we would be hauling butt on our bicycles and hit the ramp. I remember one time my oldest brother, like, he went up this ramp and he pulls back on the handlebars, and the gooseneck part that holds the handlebars came out of the forks of the bicycle. And it was like slow motion. We're sitting there watching him, and he comes down and nosedive and just face planted right into the pavement. There was an old church parking lot that's catty corner from us there in Cave City, Arkansas. And that was our favorite thing. Like, we'd be in the neighbor's yard, we'd get up some speed, and right there, you know, where the dirt met the pavement of that church parking lot, we'd have our ramp set up right there. We'd land on the pavement. I don't know why we didn't do it the other way around, where you land in the dirt, where it might be a little softer. But yeah, and you wipe out on that pavement. It was fresh black asphalt. Oh, yeah, we had road rash a lot when we were kids. It's a miracle we survived it, to be honest. We was always doing crazy stuff. We weren't fortunate enough to have like motorized stuff usually. We had a neighbor one time over in Miami. We lived in Miami, Oklahoma. His name was Charlie Zuka. I'm friends with his dad on Facebook. And his dad's a little on the wild side too. He's from California. He got caught in Oklahoma. He had a pilot's license. He was flying a plane. He was hauling illegal things. And he had big bales of it that he kicked out in the lake, and he got caught. And so he went on vacation, a forced vacation for a while, and now he's out. He's done his time for that. He's a really cool dude. But back in the day, when I was a little kid, my mom had a really old Pontiac Le Mans that had like those big old 50 slicks on the back. It had like a 454 whatever as a Pontiac. Had the little skinny wheels. It was a dragster, and my uncle had built that, and that was our family car. You know, he gave that to my mom as a family car. If she wanted to plant us in the back seat, you know, because we're always up there in between the bucket seats, you know, she's like, sit back. We wouldn't sit back, so she'd just nail it, you know, punch it, and that would throw us into the back seat, right? So anyways, this car was sitting out in front of the house on the street, and our friend, the neighbor, Charlie Zuka, he had a little Suzuki, I want to say it was like an 80cc, little bitty bike, and we're out there cruising up and down the street on it, and this was right next door to the old Walmart in Miami. Now they got the new Super Center, but we lived pretty much right next door to the old Walmart, and so we're back there on that street. I can't remember what the name of that street was, just to give you an idea where this took place. And my brother, I think it was my older brother, was on that, and he was just hauling butt. Came around the corner and then was headed right straight for the back end of this Pontiac Le Mans. And the back end of those, they had a fuel tank in the back, and it's kind of angled up. And I remember, like, he's headed right straight for it. He freaks out, and like, I think he let go of the handlebars, loses control, lays it over on its side, and slides it right underneath the fuel tank on that. And we're all freaking out because we've been watching Rambo, all these kind of movies where everything blows up, right? If there's any kind of accident, everything explodes. And so we're like, run! It's gonna explode! Well, it wedged underneath there. So then we had to go get my mom, and she had to move her car because we couldn't get the light pulled out from underneath of it. And she kind of freaked out. She's like, you could have got killed. We were wild children. I'm telling you what, it's a miracle my mom made it through my childhood, because she had 4 boys. We didn't have no sisters or nothing. It was just 4 boys, and we were freaking wild. We did what we wanted. Nothing held us back from anything. It's like when we moved out to Cave City, Arkansas. There was this guy that owned a bunch of land out there, and we called it the Trails. I'm trying to think what the name of that guy was. Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, me and my youngest brother TJ, we always was out there hunting and fishing like every day. That's what I really like about Oklahoma adrenaline life. It reminds me a lot of my childhood, like out there hunting and fishing every day. That's what we did. We'd go over to like a aunt or uncle's house or something. They had a bunch of land. They had a big pond, a big catfish pond. We'd go out there fishing. They had a bunch of land down in Southside, Arkansas, which was right by Batesville. The England family out there is like a big family, and a lot of them had a lot of land and stuff. I learned a lot of stuff from my great-great-great-grandma England. She was actually a cook for the grade school there in Southside, Arkansas. They call it Southside, but I guess it's just Southside of Batesville. And she was a cook there like for years and years and years and years. Back when they still like handmade everything. She got up early in the morning, went to work, handmade. Like if they were having noodles, it was handmade noodles, you know, not like what they have nowadays. Everything's like pre-processed and everything. They just throw it in an oven or deep fry it or something nowadays. Back then it was still like all home, you know, homemade. Like we had pizza, it was homemade pizza. Let's see. These two keep me on my toes. I couldn't imagine three boys. Yeah, there was four of us. My oldest brother, he didn't pass away until he was in his 20s. And now it's three of us. But yeah, it was always four. Whew. I'm thankful that I actually got to spend a year on the road with him. My first year out driving a truck over the road was spent with my oldest brother. It was interesting, I'll say that. It's fun, you know, traveling with your brother and stuff, but living in this small of a truck. It was a Freightliner condo, so it was very much about the exact same, you know, size on the inside as this truck is, but it was just a Freightliner. Living in those close quarters for a whole year with your brother, it's not a good thing. It will force you to be at each other's throat. Like, it's like, dude, really, you farted? What the hell? Or a lot lizard knocks on the door of your truck and he's like, dude, you mind stepping out of the truck for a while? It's like, hell no, getting on down the road. It's like, you got to keep them on, you know, keep them on the straight and narrow. It's like, no, you're not doing that. Interesting times, I'm telling you. Got to see the United States and Canada with my brother. Wouldn't trade it for the world now. Lee said, I have one son and can't even imagine even having more than one. Yeah, four of them that do what they want. I mean, my mom worked from sun up to sundown at a pizza store that my step-grandpa owned. My step-grandpa, when we first met him, he owned the Charlie's Chicken in Miami, Oklahoma. That's how, I think that's how my mom and my stepdad met. And they married, so we're like married into that family. He sold that Charlie's Chicken and moved back to Cave City, and then we ended up moving, we moved to Southside, which is where like an uncle or something of my father-in-law, whatever that would be related to me, he had a rental house there. We ended up moving into that for a few years. Then we moved to Cave City, where my mom and my stepdad bought a house there, which I think my stepdad still owns, or is living there, that house. It was Lehman, Mr. Lehman's property. There's like a circle trail out there. If you ever look at the map of Cave City, Arkansas, like you can see it. But that's where me and my brothers used to go out there in the woods all the time. There's like four-wheeler trails and stuff out there. It's probably, I would imagine, being, you know, developed by now. They've probably got tract houses out there. Yeah, we used to, that's where we went. Like, we got out of school, boom, right drive straight to the woods. We grab our BB guns and go out to the woods. And then my step-grandpa, he bought, I think it was like 96 acres. It was almost 100, but it was like 7 miles out of town. And we'd go out there, had to go out there and feed the cows and stuff. That's how I learned how to back a trailer. We had a little bitty short bell trailer that had a little hand crank winch on it and a bell spike. That's how I had to back it in through like an 8-foot wide gate. You barely get the truck through there. And I had to, it was a 3-speed on the column, like a 70-something model Chevy heavy half, 3-speed on the column. So it was a standard. And I had to back it through that gate in the snow and stuff into a bale of hay, pick it up and take it out. I had to do that like every day. And that was a lot of fun, getting to learn how to back a trailer and stuff like that. Those short trailers are interesting, I'll tell you what. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to learn. Like that whole lifestyle that you see, like Paragon Ridge Ranch, Oklahoma Drift Life. I love that. That is the way to grow up right there. That is it right there. Super awesome. Chrissy, you're doing an awesome job. They say, boys, shorten your life by 34, what? Years or weeks? 34 weeks? I would believe it if you were saying, boys, shorten your life by about 34 years. That would be believable. 34 weeks, I don't know about that. I think it shortened your life even more than that. I've got 2 boys. And I tell you what, they've done some things that I've done in my life, but they're like more blatant about it. They don't try to hide it from their parents. Like my mom, she found out about probably 60% of the things we admit to now later on in life. You know, it got to be like 20-something years old, we'd start telling mom stories about things we used to do when she was at work. She's like, you did what? Oh yeah, lots of stories. Things I probably shouldn't say on here because it involves my brothers. Things they don't want people to know about, right? We were always getting into something, some kind of, I mean, we weren't terrible bad. We were a bit mischievous. We feared nothing. Nowadays, shoot, I'm afraid of heights now. Back in the day, it wouldn't have been nothing for me to climb a water tower or even a radio tower. I probably would have climbed a radio tower with no fear. Nowadays, I get 100 foot off the ground, I'm like, oh, get me down. I mean, when I first started driving a semi-truck and going over these big cloverleaf overpasses and stuff in Texas in a semi-truck, you know, back then it was like, it ain't nothing. Nowadays it's like, it's a little spooky. I think the older you get, or maybe it's the heavier you get, I don't know. But the older you get, the more gravity means something to you. It wasn't that many years ago that I was working for Bussy Painting and, you know, doing industrial sandblasting and painting and having to go up on water towers and stuff. And I was scared to death of heights. And I told him that. I said, look, you're not going to get me up there doing water towers and stuff. I'm not doing it. And then it comes down to I'm the only guy for the job. I had to go do it. And that is actually why he bought that 98 Peterbilt for me. When I first went to work for him, I was working for Twister Safe. This was right after the tornado hit Joplin. And I got fired from the job that I'd been doing at Black Hat Trucking. You know, they let me go because I side-loaded an excavator. And the only job I could find was go weld for Twister Safe and build these safe houses, or safe rooms, for Twister Safe. And I went there, and they were paying me something like 11 something an hour. And I was like, man, this is crap wages for a welder. I was like, I've never made this crappy money working for a place welding. And he said, well, if you do a good job and you really make us a lot of money, we're gonna make it worth your time. We're gonna pay you really good, give you a big raise. And so I went in there and I showed them what I could do. I was busting out 5 Twister safes per day, sometimes 4. I mean, on really hot days, it was hard to, bust out 5. And I was, quadruple the numbers of anybody else working in that shop. Everyone else was like one safe a day. I was making 5. And I thought, these guys are going to give me a hell of a raise and pay me really good, and maybe let some of these other guys go because they don't need all these guys. But we still couldn't keep up with the orders. We were building, as many as we could, and couldn't afford to keep up with orders. And then we were filling up the lot, and the people installing these could not keep up with the orders. Well, it come down to like 90 days or something later, and I gave them a little bit more time. And then I went to them and I said, hey, you guys said you was going to give me a raise. I'm doing 4 times as much as anybody else out here. What are you going to give me? And it better be really good. And he's like, well, I could give you like $1 an hour raise. And I said, screw you, I'm done. I quit. And so I went without a job for about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. And let's see, it was my cousin-in-law. I was just happened to be over at my mother-in-law's talking to him, and he's like, oh yeah, you can come out here and work for this guy, work for the paint company. He said he's supposed to be getting some trucks because his son is into trucking, and maybe you can go drive for him. So I went out with my resume, said, here you go, here's my resume, and it's just a farm basically. I go out there, he's running a paint company out there and everything. He's kind of wealthy, or was, I don't know if he is now or not, but he was. And, I'm like, I just need a job. He looks at my resume and he goes, man, you can weld, drive a truck. It's like, you ever work much on a farm? Like, not really. I mean, I've been around cows and stuff as a kid, but I mean, we would herd the cattle up. My grandpa would give them shots. I didn't know what he was doing, what he was giving them. So I didn't really know much about it. I could help round them up, basically, get them pinned up, run them through a chute, and, feed them, bring hay out to them and stuff. And my step-grandpa's cows were pretty docile. Like, half of them, you could go up to them and pet them, This guy's cows, you don't even get near them. Like, they'll freaking run you over. So, I mean, it's kind of a different ball game. But I was like, yeah, I can, work on the farm, whatever. And, he's like, well, until I can buy you a truck, he's like, I'm working on a deal with a roll-off deal. He's like, if I can get a roll-off truck, then I'll put you in that and have you drive a roll-off. I was like, I really don't want to drive a roll-off. I've done that before. I don't want to do it. I don't want anything to do with trash. He said, well, it's not trash. It was actually scrap metal. And I said, oh, you're the one trying to get the contract at EDV. That's what I used to do, is haul the scrap metal out of there. The old ammunition, decompose it. They basically send the old ammunition to an incinerator, and whatever you call that, turn it into scrap metal, and then we would haul it off. Then you had to have people go through it and make sure there was nothing live in it, and then you haul it off to a steel mill. You can't just haul it straight to a steel mill, because if a live ram, even if it's like a 30-06 shell, if it gets into a molten pot of steel, that's a major disaster. And so you can't have live ammunition make it to the steel mill. And I started telling him all about that, and he's like, maybe we don't want to venture into that. That sounds like a big, big thing. It's like, oh yeah, like, you're not just going to step in on that contract like you think you're going to. And the guy that was doing it, that I used to work for, that actually fired me for side loading an excavator, he's really wealthy, tons of money. You're not just going to, come in there and take something like that away from him. Which eventually it happened. I mean, he didn't take it away from him, but U.S. the Metal or whatever took it from him. It was a huge corporation. The way they did that was, a little, political stuff, right? They went in and said, well, he's taking this metal to his yard, and they're going through it or whatever, and they basically accused him of skimming off of it and selling some of it to other places or something, which you can't do. You cannot sell that stuff to a different steel mill. There's only certain steel mills that will take it, and you have to have the government contract in order for them to take it. And so it was a bunch of BS, and he ended up just giving it up. He said, you know what, it ain't worth it, and to stick it, right? But anyways, later on, I'm working for the paint company for several years, going out and doing like the Branson Bell, water towers, water containments, different things like that, running the polyurea trailer. There's only so many people in America that can run a freaking polyurea trailer. But I was doing that for containments and stuff. We were trying to get contracts for doing containments in the oil field. It never, became anything. He landed a deal doing sandblasting on the pipeline, which paid crazy money. He tried to get me to do that, and I said, no, I'm not doing it. Polyurea. It's a lot like the spray foam. It's the same setup as like doing the professional spray foam, but it's polyurea. It's almost like a plastic that you kind of paint on. It sets up like instantly, like in 3 seconds. You spray it on, it sort of thickens and it hardens like instant. And you can use it on like the roof of a house or something. It's fairly inexpensive material for what it is, and it's really great for like chemical containments and stuff like that. It was a little bit of a money-making deal. But anyways, I stuck it out with the paint company for way too long. And finally I said, look, I thought you were going to have me be a truck driver. I don't like heights. I don't like being up on ladders and painting houses or doing tuck point on somebody's fireplace or something. We did all kinds of work. And then working with cattle and stuff. And so basically he made a deal with me. He said, you go out and you do this water tower. It was the water tower it's by the casino at the powwow grounds in Tonkawa, Oklahoma. The old casino, not the new one. But anyways, it said Fort something or other on it, and I ended up having to do all the vinyl lettering on it. We sandblasted and painted that water tower inside and out, and then the only like halfway certified welder that he had was me. So he had me go out and put the fill tube inside that water tower. That water tower was built in 1978, the same year I was born, and it never had a drop of water in it. It had never been used. They ran out of money. And so a water tower that had been built the year that I was born, I went out and completed it, welded up the fill tube inside of it. I had to make an actual man lift that I could fit through the manhole piece by piece, put it back together on the inside. And then I had to climb up 110 feet to the top of it and rig up there, drop a rope down, pull my cable up through and rig that up. So I was hanging from a little like 3/8 cable inside there, and then pulling 8-foot sections of pipe, 4-inch diameter pipe up in there, and welding that up on the inside of it. And it had to at least look like certified welding, right? It had to be where a guy came from the Phillips 66 petroleum, what do they call that, refinery there nearby. I can't remember what town that is, but it's not too far away. So this guy that inspects welds, he came out there and inspected my welds, looked at him and he said, yep, passes. I was like, whew. I'll tell you what, I was sweating bullets because I was a little bit rusty on my welding at that point in time. But he told me, he said, you go out and do this water tower job, because he couldn't get anyone else to climb the dang thing. And he said, I will buy you a truck. And you go out there and make me money with a truck. And, he's footing the bill, buying a truck. He's saying he's going to buy a nice truck and all this and that. A lot of money. But I had to go do this job that's going to pay that kind of money so he can buy the truck. And then he's putting it on me to run his company for him. He's going to start up his own authority and everything, and I got to run it all. And his son has his own truck, but his truck is a farm truck. He doesn't have to have a CDL, but he's also not supposed to be hauling for hire either. He can only haul, like farm goods for your own farm or whatever. That's a little shady deal right there. But anyways, so I do the job. He gets paid and everything. And then he says, all right, start looking for a truck. And I started looking for trucks. Couldn't find anything that really satisfied him. And then there's a local propane company called Al's Gas there in the ocean, which is actually, the owner of Al's Gas is actually related to the landlord of my mother-in-law, But anyways, we find this truck there locally, very, very low mileage. It was just a backup truck. They hardly ever drove it, and it just sit there. And so he paid like $15,000 for this truck. He didn't know that I knew how much he paid because I, found out through the grapevine how much he paid for it. He tried to tell me he paid $30,000 for it, which he didn't. He paid $15,000 for it. And then, he bought a hopper bottom trailer, and I hooked up to that and leased on with Odell Trucking. A lot of people in Oklahoma know who Odell Trucking is. It's a pretty well-known outfit for hopper bottom and stuff. Like, you have to be somebody to lease on with Odell Trucking and pull his name around. So we leased on with him, and I was out there outlawing the heck out of it, pulling hopper bottom, and kind of getting to know the name of the game and stuff on that. Well, then the boss's son with his farm truck shows up at the place up in Kansas City that's like our bread and butter, right? Because he got to see the paperwork. He went into the office and he seen the paperwork, seen how much the load is paying and all this and that. And so he goes there to get direct freight, which causes me to lose that contract with Odell. I no longer have a job with them, right? Not to mention, before that, I kind of skipped a little tidbit there, that when I closed on my house that day, right, I was hauling a load. It was like feather mill. It was loaded really tall in my trailer. It was really top heavy. And I told him, all right, I said, I got to have this day off to go close on my house on this date. And they get me home that day, but the load had to be delivered at like 3 o'clock in the morning up in St. Joe. So he has his son hook onto that trailer, which he was actually supposed to use my truck, but he didn't want to drive my truck. He wanted to drive his own truck, which is kind of a show truck. And he hooks onto my trailer and pulls it on up to St. Joe, but he didn't take off until like midnight. And he'd been up all day and stuff, probably partying or something. Who knows? But he was tired. And I'm pretty dang sure, he said somebody run him off the road. But I say he's full of crap. He got wobbly-eyed, tired, and he dropped the wheel off the right-hand side of the road and went down in the ditch quite a ways and then hit a culvert and flipped the truck over. So my trailer, the hopper bottom that the boss had bought, that my doing that water tower job paid for all this, I no longer have a trailer. So I had to lease a trailer from Odell, okay? So it's not our trailer. That's kind of like keeping us on our toes, like we got to make this guy happy. You have to do 2 loads a day, 1 north, 1 south. That's all he expected. 1 north, 1 south. You go to Kansas City with a load of drag sand, you pick up meat and bone mill or soybean mill, take it back south down to Decatur, Arkansas to Tyson, unload it. That's what you had to do every day. And I had the system down while I'd gotten off on this other deal, okay, with the feather mill, and he tipped the trailer over, messed up his truck, messed up the trailer, so we had to lease one. We had to lease a trailer with Odell. So now we're kind of stuck. And I'm telling him, like, you better be saving your money up and getting a different trailer, because now he has control of us because we're pulling his trailer. We cannot just up and leave if he ticks us off one day. We can't just go, do our own authority or whatever, because we don't have a trailer. So we're kind of in a catch-22 little deal, and his son shows up at Mid-South for meat and bone mill up in Kansas City with his truck and trailer, and there's a whole bunch of Odell trucks sitting there. And I go over and I cuss his ass out. I'm like, what are you doing here getting loads from these guys with all these other Odell trucks here? and they know who you are. They know your truck. Like, he's well known. All right, John Boy is a well-known name in trucking. A lot of people know him because he's been driving ever since he was a little kid, outlawing it. Well, everyone knows him, and they're like, hey, when you start stepping on toes in trucking like that, like, that's their bread and butter, and you're coming in, cutting their throat on a load. They don't take kindly to that, so they call up Odell. About 30 minutes later, I get a phone call from Odell asking why John Boy is there with his truck. I'm like, I don't know. I had no idea he was doing this or whatever. He's up there trying to get freight, trying to under. So he cuts me loose. He's like, you're done. You no longer are holding any loads for me. It's like, you get that load, because I was already loaded. He's like, you get that load down south, you get it delivered, and you drop my trailer off first thing in the morning. So I'm like, all right, now I don't have a job anymore because of what this dude pulled. So then I'm forced into running their own authority, filing their IFTA and everything, because the lady working in the office only knows how to take care of the paint company stuff and the farm stuff. She has no clue about trucking. So I'm sitting there running the entire trucking company for them. And then John Boy decides to hire a guy, this kid, I'm not going to say his name, but hires a kid that's like just barely 21, just got his CDL, has no experience. They're going to put him in his truck. They had rebuilt that truck. It was a show truck at that point. They've actually taken it to Chrome Shop Mafia's, that show truck deal they do. I can't remember what the name of it is. A big deal they do like every year in Joplin. But anyways, really nice show truck, stretched out, brand new paint job, put a new sleeper and everything on it, new door and everything, fixed it all up. And I'm driving a yellow 379P short hood, not an extended hood. This other kid, he's got Jake brakes and everything in that truck, big old freaking cat motor. He's got every bell and whistle. Nice truck, but he's scared to death to go out of town. And here I am having to deal with brokers because we don't have any direct freight. So I'm dealing with brokers, dealing with like the Schooler Corporation, which is, man, don't ever do business with them. Now, Chrissy, you might. If you're still in here, with your feed store, you might do business with them. You might be able to get feed, corn, and stuff from them pretty cheap. I know too much about that whole industry now. I know about some shoddy stuff they do to get stuff cheaper. They say it'll have, like the corn, they'll say it has too much aflatoxin there at Nestle in Oklahoma City, and it'll get rejected. And, you know, you might could be able to get a call to get some free corn if you have a silo to hold about 1,000 bushels. If you can hold 1,000 bushel, you can get a load of corn pretty darn cheap. Let's see. I think there's some chat here on this. Anyways, trying to finish my story here. So anyways, I ran the company for him for a while, getting loads for the boss's son's driver. He always just wanted to follow me around. Eventually we got out in Arizona picking up pistachios, and I hated going out there because there's not a lot of loads out that way for hopper bottoms and stuff. It's just too far west. And then the broker's like, hey, I need a truck up in, I think it's Washington State or something, to pick up something up there. Who knows what it was? I can't remember what it was. It's too many years ago. And this kid's like, man, that means I got to go over the mountains and stuff. And I was like, but your truck is the truck with the Jake brakes. I said, my truck don't have Jakes, and it has a small motor. I don't need to be pulling in the mountains. Well, years down the road, I ended up in the mountains with it anyways, because I ended up buying the truck later. But anyways, like the rates just kept going down and down and down in the hopper bottom industry, and you just couldn't make money anymore. And I was the one running the company, looking at the numbers, and I'm like, hey, look, dealing with brokers and not direct freight is not working for us. We're not making money. Like, we're making enough to get by, but we're not making money. Like, we're not making enough to replace equipment. So this doesn't make sense to keep doing what we're doing. And I was like, if you want to keep doing this, I have to quit, because you're going to blame it on me and then you're losing money. I said, the best thing you can do right now is either find direct freight for somebody local, you're out and back, do something like that, you'd make money. Depends on what you want your trucks to do. So either that, or I'm going to have to quit. I could go and drive for a different company, which I ended up quitting. Just park your truck, and it's not costing you anything to sit there. When the rates start coming back, then you can get it back up and running or whatever. But he chose not to let it sit, and he hired that kid to drive his truck. Well, that 98P, being it used to be a propane hauling truck, it had a propane tank on the side, had propane injection as a supplemental fuel for the engine. So you could actually flip a switch and turn on propane injection into that diesel engine, which would give you like 10% more power, but you also needed to turn on the engine fan to help cool it off, and you didn't want to run it very long, because you'd dry out your cylinders and overheat your pistons, which would blow up the motor eventually. Well, that kid, being the kind of kid he was, he would just flip the propane on, leave it on all day. He didn't realize, hey, you got to flip the engine fan on. And another thing is, like, you only use that when you're pulling a hill or something like that. You use it for short periods of time. You don't use it all the time. But he just leave it on. Well, so the guy wasn't making money at all. He was losing his money. And it took him a whole year to realize it. So then he calls me up and he's like, hey, because I went to work for CEI, and I'd been talking to Scott over at CEI about doing a lease purchase on a truck. I'd seen a lot of people there that was making good money, doing really well as a lease purchase option. And he started telling me about that. It's $800 a week for the truck and all this and that. And I was like, I said, okay, how long? He said, like 5 years on a used truck. That's like $180,000 or something, I think is what it equaled up to. And then at the end of it, you have a $50,000 balloon payment. I said, whoa, wait a minute. You want me to pay $180,000 for a truck and then another $50,000 for a used truck so that I can own it at the end? I was like, heck no. I was like, that's not going to work for me at all. No, it's a bad deal. So I'll just stay a company driver, right? Well, Scott and my ex-boss are kind of friends. They go to church together. And I don't know if maybe they were talking or something like, oh, Hood, he wants to buy a truck. He's got that dream, got that thirst. Man, that's the biggest way to make money in trucking right there, is sell a $15,000 truck to somebody for 50 grand, because the only thing they ever wanted to do was own their own trucking company, right? So I signed up. He called me up. He says, hey, you want to buy that truck from me? Which at first he was trying to sell me the T600 Kenworth that he originally bought, that we kind of first started off with. And that the motor had issues and stuff. It was leaking heads and stuff. He was replacing the heads on it all the time and stuff. And he told me he rebuilt the transmission. He said he rebuilt the motor. He rebuilt the axles and stuff. I went out, I test drove it, I looked it over. I said, you didn't rebuild squat. I don't know who you took it to, but they lied to you. They didn't rebuild nothing. I said, the rear end's still leaking. The transmission, they didn't even replace the shift tower boot on it, the rubber. There's like a little rubber insert inside of it that actually is kind of a cushioner. But when that thing wears out, the shift lever will just flop around inside the cab. I said they didn't even replace that. The clutch is still the original clutch. I can look at through the inspection plate and see that it's got the original worn out clutch in it. So you didn't have, the transmission wasn't even removed, let alone rebuilt. And I looked at the engine. I checked the oil. It was nasty, dirty, had a little bit of metal filings in it, and it had brand new heads on it. They were just rusty. You could tell they were brand new. They just got wet and they rusted up instantly. I said, you did not rebuild that motor. You just rebuilt the top end. You put new heads on it. That's not a full rebuild. That's not an end frame. I said, I'm not buying it. And I was going to walk away, and he says, wait a minute, what about that old yellow Pete? He's like, you like that truck? I said, how much do you want for it? So he goes, $50,000. I said, let me think about it. I went home, and I was like, man, I know he only paid $15,000 for that truck. And I know what he put into it. Yeah, he's got $3,000 into one of the spindles because it messed up, and they had to have the axle surgeon come out to Oklahoma City and replace it. They welded a new spindle on, but hey, that doesn't make the truck worth more or nothing. So I was like, I don't even care about that. It's not got a bigger motor. It was a 435 horse N14 Cummins motor in it. Little motor, right? That was a major downfall for me. That's okay for somebody that's running flat ground, doing a dedicated run every now and then, you know, but not somebody that's going to end up in the mountains and stuff. I drove the truck for years for him, knew everything about it. I was like, well, I can do it. I can pay, you know, I know what money he made, and to make $50,000, I could have paid it off in a year if everything had went right. Well, it was like a month or two, maybe 3 into buying that truck, the motor popped. It let go. And that's after he went and financed me on getting another motor, and I had to put it in myself, did all the labor and everything. I was down for 3 months and still needed to pay him. For the trailer that I was buying the hopper bottom from him, I was buying the truck from him, you know. The trailer was, I think, $1,500 a month, and then the truck was $1,200 a month. Well, that was killing me. I was paying way too much, and I didn't realize that was way too much. I mean, I should have known that had I done the math and said, well, this is what we were making before, and if I'm paying this much, and then you have a breakdown, you know, and you have no savings, you're screwed, right? Well, the motor blew up, so then I'm like another $11,000 in debt to him because I was in Van Horn, Texas when it blew up, and that kid come out in the old T600 to pick me up, and then I ended up driving. We outlawed it big time, and I went down here to Fort Worth to pick up a trailer for him out there at the Speedway. There was an auction. He had bought a tanker out there, and I went out there to pick it up. I'd been up for several days straight, you know, because the kid come out, we hooked onto the hopper bottom, took it on over into New Mexico, delivered a load, then all the way back to my house, dropped the trailer, went over to the boss's house, picked up the Landau trailer, went all the way back out to Van Horn. I hadn't slept yet. Went all the way back to Van Horn, picked up my truck, removed the smokestack off of it, took the antennas and stuff down so it wasn't too tall, loaded it up, drove it all the way back to my house, dropped it off, and then went down here to Fort Worth and picked up his tanker and back to his house. The whole time I'm doing 99% of the driving. Every time that kid would drive, I was like, nope, pull over, I can't put up with your crap. Because he was on the jake brake, on the throttle, on the jake brake, on the throttle. If a freaking cow truck went by, he'd blow the horn at it. I was like, dude, you're not a freaking cattle hauler. Quit thinking you are. You know, quit driving like an idiot. Every time a cow truck goes by, you got to sit there and hit your jake brakes and think you're a big badass. I said, this truck, that truck had an N14 red top in it, 500 horse, or 525, right? I said, this truck has nothing to prove. But you're sitting here jackassing around with cow trucks going down the road that like 900 and 1,000 horsepower motors, like you're a big shot or something. Like, you have nothing to prove. This truck has nothing to prove. Quit trying to show off. You're just a freaking truck. You ain't got to be stupid like a teenager out here. Just drive responsibly, and then I'll let you drive. But he couldn't do that. He couldn't let me sleep in the sleeper. I'd lay down, and the stacks ran right up the backside of the sleeper. And he'd hit the jake brake about every 5 seconds, hit the jakes. I was like, dude, shut the freaking jakes off. You don't need them. All night long doing that crap and laughing and giggling about it. And I said, nope, pull over, I'm driving. He's like, you can't make me. I said, look, I know your boss, and I have a lot of pull with him. I've worked with him a lot of years. And if I call him up and tell him what you're doing, he's going to fire your ass. So he'd pull over and let me drive. Like, I'm sick and tired of this crap. So I just ran, and he rode with me. Tried to teach him how to freaking drive properly. I doubt it ever rubbed off on him, but anyways. Ran my butt off. That, going and picking that trailer up, was supposed to pay for all the fuel and everything of going out there and getting my truck and all that stuff, right? Because I wasn't getting paid for it. Well, then later on down the road, I ended up giving him the hopper bottom trailer back, and it was almost paid for. And I was buying it for like $21,000. I think I had like $19,000 paid on it, so it was almost paid off. And I ended up giving it back because he's called me up cussing, wanting his money and all this and that. And I'm like, dude, I'm running 20 hours a day. If I run 24 hours a day, I can't possibly work any more than that. I'm working as hard as I possibly can, running 1,200 miles a day, trying to make the money to freaking pay you back. And that's when I gave him that trailer back, and I leased my truck on with CFI. I was with CFI for, I don't know, 3 months. Didn't take me very long to figure out I was losing my butt being an owner-operator with CFI. I said, nope, can't make money here. Not to mention they ripped me off like $1,200 for a tire. I said, hey, these are not super singles that I'm running, because they're like, yeah, $1,200 a tire, that's normal. That's what we pay for tires. I said, yeah, for your super singles, not for, duals. Duals, you're looking at $300 or $400, not $1,200. So they ripped me off on that, and that's when I cut ties with CFI. And my wife, this was back when my daughter had broke both of her wrists. She fell off the monkey bars or something at school and broke both wrists, or both arms really close to the wrist. And then my wife ended up talking to the school nurse, and the school nurse was married to a guy that was out in the oil field hauling crude oil. And she's like, oh yeah, my husband, he bought a brand new truck and had it paid off in like a year. Brand new truck. And I'm like, that sounds pretty good. That's good money. So I called this guy and I talked to him about it, talked about the rates and everything, what they're making. I was like, all right, cool. Sign me up. So I quit CFI, drove out to Leedy, Oklahoma to go work for Guardian Oilfield Services. It took about a month of me making no money out there to get leased on. The only holdup was it was just at the wrong moment. They had to renew all the tags for all of their trucks, and Oklahoma would not allow them to get new tags for a new truck until all of their old trucks was done. So they couldn't sign me on just yet because they didn't have a tag. So I sit there for a month, and then, so basically I'm on borrowed money then from the owner of that company in order for me to be able to eat. I mean, these are the things I'm talking about. Like, when I say people don't even have a freaking clue, like the crap that I've went through to have that sawmill. They don't know all the days and weeks and months and years that I've busted my butt, that I've done without. I've been out there living in a truck for a month, no air conditioning, no heat, nothing, because I couldn't afford to run the truck for an entire month. Plus, I was paying $200 a day to a guy to train me how to haul, how to test oil, how to haul crude oil, all the proper procedures, because when you haul crude oil, it's a very specific procedure. You do not deviate from that, because when you do, spills happen. If you have an oil spill on a location, it usually costs you 30 grand. One spill, you could spill out a quart of crude oil on a location, 1 quart, and they have to call EPA out. 30 grand. Right there, boom, 30 grand out of your pocket because you had a spill. And I've seen guys have like, 50 barrel spills on locations. I'm like, oh, you're done. You're done. So, I mean, it's serious money and it's serious work. It's like 24 hours a day. You don't even see the pavement for over a week because you're out there running for a week on a ranch out in West Texas or New Mexico or maybe even There are not so many in Oklahoma. But you get out West Texas, South Texas, you can be on a ranch where there's several wells out there, and you're just servicing all these wells, and the lac is on that ranch too. So you go load, you test, you buy. You're basically an oil buyer. You test the oil, you buy it, you haul it, you take it, you're on the same ranch. You never leave, you never get on the pavement. So DOT regulations do not apply because you're not on a regulated road. You're on a ranch. So you work 24 hours a day and you haul as many loads as you can and you make that money. You cannot slow down. If you do, the well gets shut in. When it costs $10 million to drill a well, if you screw up and you don't wake up in time, and that causes that well to shut in, every time a well shuts in, when they bring it back online, it's not producing at the rate that it was before, and you get fined for that. So it's a big deal, and you're out there working at least 20 hours a day. You get like 3.5 hours of sleep. About a half hour to get some water, throw it in. I had my washing machine that's in my bus now. I took my passenger seat out, put my washing machine over there, strapped it in. I could put 5 gallons of water in there, throw a Tide Pod in it, throw my laundry in, and then I would hang my jeans up and have a little fan blowing on it to dry my clothes in a 36-inch sleeper. I lived in that truck for about 6 years. Working like 20 hours a day. And people wonder why I have an ulcer now. And this job right here, I drive about 6-7 hours, whatever, down to Dallas or Seagoville, and then 4 hours, whatever, back up this way, and then finish it out the next day. This is a freaking gravy job, guys. This is a vacation for me. That's what this job is like. It's all about perspective. If you're going to get trucking, the perspective of it is, the first year, me and my brother out there was a freaking vacation. It was a sightseeing vacation. Yeah, we didn't really get to stop at a lot of places. I mean, we went to Meteor Crater with a semi-truck. We were kind of an oddball there. There was another Warner truck that had stopped in there. But yeah, you can get a semi-truck in there at Meteor Crater. It's hard to get out because you got to get turned around to get out of there. And when there's a bunch of school buses, a whole bunch of cars, there's not much of a parking lot left. So yeah, we had an issue trying to get out, but we got out of there. We got to go check out Meteor Crater, different places like that. But we seen, what was it? 47 of the lower 48 in that first 12 months. The only state that I can't, positively say that I know that I've been to, I may have been there. I probably was asleep as my brother drove through there, but the only state that I don't know that I've been to is Vermont. Vermont, Alaska, and Hawaii. That's it. I've been to every other state, been on most every highway in every state. That's when that old song comes to mind. It's like, I've been everywhere, man. I've literally been everywhere. 20 some odd years of driving, been everywhere. You would think it would change me a little bit to where I could be more talkative with people, like on camera or whatever, especially like right now the camera's not facing me. It's not that hard to be on here and talking to people or whatnot. Dang it. I forgot this lane ends and I got a car right beside me. The scale's closed. We ain't got to stop in there today. Man, I'm missing a whole bunch on the chat, but I'm on a roll talking about these stories. I think that hopefully keeps people interested. I just use the mic on my phone. Hopefully it sounds alright. I do have a lavalier mic, but I don't like to use it because it has better audio, but I have shot videos before that had zero audio because I plugged it in and I was out running the sawmill, whatever, and the little mic jack got unplugged just ever so slightly on the part you wear on your side, and so I lost audio. So I don't like using that. But hopefully the audio is good. I don't know why you're asking is it not good, or oh, you hear the truck engine more than my voice. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I don't know why it would be different. It should. Make sure the audio is all the way up. I don't know if that makes any difference or not. I know that one day I used the GoPro. That thing, it was terrible. I watched that video back, and yeah, the audio was just bad. But everyone was telling me about it too. I need to introduce you guys to my daughter's dog, Nova. I think I've talked about her before on here. She got a girl dog that's a blue heeler. It's a pretty cool dog. It seems to be pretty smart, other than when I put her out on her leash. We got like a cable thing, so we want to make sure she don't run out the road, because she's still just a pup. She probably don't really know better. But anyways, we put her on this cable thing, and I had a folding table out there where I processed the chickens, and the dog would get all tangled up around the legs of that thing where the dog can't even move anymore. And I have to go out there and unhook her, untangle her, and then hook her back up and let her go. But we don't leave her out for very long, especially when it's 100 degrees out here. It's just crazy hot. Plus the dog is mostly black, so yeah, I don't like to leave her out there. I don't really like to leave her in the house either, because she likes to tear stuff up. And then my daughter, you know, if she's leaving or something, she'll put the dog in the crate. And I really don't like leaving a dog in a crate. I just feel really bad about that. Like, no. I tell my daughter, like, you're mean. Put your freaking dog in a crate and you leave. I'm like, I understand the dog tears stuff up, but like, put stuff up and lock the dog in your room. I don't like putting it in a crate. It just goes against everything I believe in. See, Dawn said her name is Pearl, but I gave her a Disney. I can't read it. Dang it. It's really hard when you guys type in small stuff. All caps is preferred. Oh my god, I was just thinking about that song. I've been everywhere, man. Odessa. Yeah, I've been to Odessa. A lot. I've ran oil field almost everywhere except for like Denver, California, Pennsylvania, New York, North Dakota. I ran oil field all over Oklahoma, around Cushing, Alva. I liked Alva because I could get a motel there. I rented a motel like a house, so I'd have a place to park my truck, and I could go there like every night, have a room, have a bed, swimming pool. My wife and kids could come out. I actually had a room with 2 beds or whatever, shower and everything. It was actually cheaper for me to rent that room. I think it was like $600 a month. It was cheaper for me to rent that and to idle my truck every night. You know, just in fuel. We're not even talking about wear and tear. For just fuel, strictly. It cost me double that in fuel just to idle my truck for 8 hours a night. I mean, my truck didn't idle for 8 hours a night. I didn't sit that long. But I would take a weekend off, you know, a day off every now and then, just to like get away from it all, you know, and get out of the truck. Me and my buddy Craig, you guys will see him on here every now and then. He's still out there in the oil field. He's got a few trucks doing stuff. Some of them in the oil field, some doing other stuff. And we would just go hop in his pickup or whatever and go hang out, go out to eat or something, you know, go over to his house, which he lived over in Woodward, you know, so that was a little ways away. But yeah, he ended up getting a travel trailer, so I kind of roomed with him for a while, so we could get rid of the expense of the motels and stuff. So that saved him money, saved me money. And then we started investing that money in tools and stuff. And he got a new truck, we'll pick up, and went out to like Harbor Freight, got a gas-powered air compressor, and we started doing our own maintenance on our trucks. You know, if we needed brakes or bearings or something like that, we did it ourselves. And so I would take time off from, you know, hauling oil to go work on his truck. He would take time off to work on my truck. That's, you know, help each other out and everything. To have somebody, a really good friend like that out there, like someone who truly has your back. I mean, I gotta say that Craig Fairless is my best friend in the whole wide world. I got a lot of friends out there now, but he is my best friend. That dude, I can trust that he's got my back no matter what. And he offered me the job, and I didn't take it. And it was about, I want to say probably 30 times what I'm making here. That's a lot more. He's got drivers out there making about 7 times what I'm making here in a week. They're doing it legal, you know, running legal and doing that. And I'm just like, I don't want to haul that stuff cross country, doing what that guy's doing. And I mean, it's real hard. I mean, the money is crazy good. I could go out there and do that for a couple of years, have my house paid off, have a brand new truck, you know. The thing is, if I went and done that, I would end up buying a freaking semi-truck again. And I would be back in the crap, just the same old rat race. Rates would come down, and I'd be stuck. And I got out for a reason. I don't want to go back. You know, this right here, I can walk away from this tomorrow and not miss it one bit. It's not my truck. I don't have to worry about selling it. You know, yeah, I could do the same thing to him. I could go drive for him and not be tied to it. If I got sick and tired of it, I could walk away. But the thing is, like, driving for your buddy is different than driving for a company like this. When I get back to Joplin, if there's something wrong with the truck, I take it in and I say, here's the keys, here's what's wrong with it. They have it fixed by the next day, or they put me in a different truck. Working for my buddy, yeah, that could be the case, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to be me on the side of the road figuring out what's wrong with it and fixing it myself, just to save him a bunch of money, rather than, you know, spending $12,000 to get some little thing fixed by a mechanic. I mean, it wouldn't be $12,000 unless it's a blown motor or something. But the thing is, like, the diesel mechanics in those areas, they stick you with the shaft. I'm telling you, they ream you hard. You know, it cost me. I had a wheel bearing go out on the trailer, and I want to say it was like $8,000 is what it cost me. Now that truck had a wheel bearing go out, and we had a wheel surgeon or axle surgeon in Oklahoma City weld a new spindle on. It was like $3,000 to have that done at a TA truck stop. Now it wasn't TA that did it. It was an axle surgeon that came in and done that work, but it was at the TA truck stop. You know, so they were kind of held to a standard where they could only charge so much. Now, if you hook on a crude oil hauling trailer, they know what the heck you haul. They know what kind of money you're making, and they're going to ream you big time. If you're pulling a hopper bottom, probably not so much, right? But yeah, $8,000, and I was down for like a week. I was down in the hill country of Texas, in South Texas, when that happened. Some of the most beautiful areas you'll ever see in your life. Really nice properties down there, and I'm hauling crude oil through there, and a wheel bearing on the trailer went out and caught fire, and I'm hauling freaking crude oil. And the grass, see how dry the grass is here? The grass was every bit that dry out there. It's a miracle that it didn't burn the whole place down, like millions of acres, and be on the freaking front page of the news, right? Luckily, I had a case of water in the truck, and I was able to cool that spindle down where it didn't catch the tire on fire. Because had it caught the tire on fire, it's possible that it could heat that tank up enough to cause an explosion. And then, yeah, I probably would be no more, right? The truck and everything would have been gone. And there would have been many thousands of acres burned in a very beautiful area. And if I did live, my insurance, oh man, it would have cost a lot of money. Oh, at least at Winslow. I've been to Winslow. For sure. I can't hardly read the chat. I'm trying. Too bumpy. We are in Texas now, though. Yeah, Meteor Crater, that's the one I went to in Arizona. That's the only meteor crater. Like, all the other ones are named something different. Yeah, Meteor Crater is in Winslow, Arizona. Got, I want to say it's Apollo 3. They've got the capsule, the space capsule, I think Apollo 3 there. I've got a picture of my son Brandon, me and him when I was driving that old yellow Pete with the hopper bottom. He went with me one time, and we went to Meteor Crater, checked that out. Got a picture of him standing next to that the space capsule. Let's see, we went out to California. We went all up and down California. We went up and down the Grapevine like 3 different times. Went up to San Francisco, and this is all in one trip. We went to San Francisco, and we were sitting on the other side of the bay from the Golden Gate Bridge. And it was actually a clear enough day that day that I got pictures of the Golden Gate Bridge. I didn't actually get to go see the Golden Gate Bridge, but I could see it across the water. It was a little bit small. He got to go see the ocean out there and play in the ocean a little bit. You know, back then he was a lot younger. It was a lot easier to fit him at the foot of the bed back then in that little 36-inch sleeper. Nowadays he's like a full-grown, you know, kid, and there's no way that would have worked out. But back then he was kind of small. So he would like, his head was at the other end of the bed. I had to sleep on my side and at the other end of the bed. But he really, really wanted to go. And so we went out west in that old truck. Of course, that was after I got the new motor in it, and I had Jake brakes then and everything. It's a bigger motor. It's a 435 horse, I think. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was turned up too, so it was probably more like a 450. It was an N14 red top. It was a good motor. As far as I know, that truck's still running and making money like crazy right now out there in the oil field. There was a guy in Enid, Oklahoma, Mexican, out there in Enid, Oklahoma, Clemente Hernandez. He bought that truck from me. He was driving for my buddy Craig, which Craig wasn't too happy about it at first. He's like, "You stole my driver." And I was like, "Dude, you needed to get rid of that driver." Like, he was not a good driver. I mean, he was a good driver in the sense that he came to work every day and he worked every day, but he didn't know how to drive worth a flip. He would give the truck throttle as he was letting off the clutch and burning up the clutch. He was tearing up stuff in my buddy's truck all the time and just costing my buddy a lot of money. later on, my buddy's like, man, I'm so glad you sold that truck to me. It saved him a lot of money. You know, I tried to tell him at the time, I was like, you'll thank me later. You'll thank me later. And he did. Later on, he thanked me, but it did save him a lot of money in the long run. It caused him to have to hire a new driver, which was actually a much better driver, a lot easier on the equipment and stuff. I mean, if you're an owner-operator and you got like 1 or 2 trucks, you cannot afford to hire a gear jammer. You know, someone out there that's going to be jamming gears and getting with it, tires, you know. Just think, you curb one tire and have a blowout, you just cost your boss about $500 plus downtime. Just right then and there, $500. If it's a super single, you just cost him about $1,200 or $1,300 plus downtime, plus call out. I mean, because if it's a super single, you're down. You can't go anywhere. You can't just ease on down the road like with doors. So then you're either getting a tow truck or you're paying a call out service. So I mean, there's thousands of dollars just because you curb a tire or blew a tire out. It can get real expensive real quick if you hire someone that's not careful. That, you know, that's where a million-mile driver really comes in handy. They save you a lot of money. Those guys that's been out there a good at least 5 years experience on the road. They'll save you a lot more money than a new people. I don't like this construction zone here. A lot of these people, these four-wheelers and stuff coming up on your left, they're afraid of that concrete wall and they like to get real close to you. You got to watch for it. Not had that problem yet today, but a lot of times I do. People be in my lane as they're passing me and stuff. Truck thinks I'm speeding because it thinks that I'm on the outer road. It's like, it's 35 miles an hour through here. What are you doing? You're doing 55. Well, because that's the speed limit. I wish, you know, I guess one regret of mine is I wish that I had put more videos out back when I was in the crude oil hauling and oil field and everything. I still got a lot of videos on hard drive from them, you know. Some videos I put out there and then I deleted because I didn't want people seeing how I was living in a 36-inch flat top sleeper, a little tiny space. And you know, then I started seeing YouTube videos and channels about people living in buses, people living in vans. I mean, in a van, like Van City Van Life, that van that he's in, I'm like, dude, I lived in a 36-inch sleeper, literally 3 feet. And he's in an entire van. That's 5 times as big as what I was living in. I had a washing machine in there too. A complete office pretty much, you know? And I'm just like, I've been off grid way before anyone else, just living in a semi-truck. I mean, truck drivers, I guess, are the original off-grid living people, living out there on the road. You know, learning how to live on the road and make ends meet and stuff. But I mean, I see these things, I see like people living in vans and they're having to take a sponge bath out of a little Rubbermaid bowl. I'm like, I've been there, done that for years. Been doing it for years. And I have videos on that. I just don't put them out there because it kind of feels irrelevant now. It doesn't really feel like it fits my channel anymore. And I've put out, like, I did Coffee with Dave years and years and years and years ago, long before Coffee with the Crockers. Like, years before the Crockers started doing YouTube at all. I did Coffee with Dave, and I put one of those videos out, Coffee with Dave, and it bombed. It didn't do very good because it didn't fit my channel. People just, hardly anybody watched it. And I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't put those videos out there because it's more my channel. time I really cared. I did not want to hurt my channel. I was trying everything I could to try to grow my channel, try to make money with YouTube, because I'm like, hey, if Jared can do it, surely I can do it too, right? If Jason can do it, surely I can do it. You know what it did though? It forced me to put in the time and effort to try and learn as much as I could about editing, doing the best I could and everything, to put out great content. I don't know that I've ever really put out great content. Maybe interesting stuff, I guess, because people are interested. And a lot of times I'm just like, people really don't care what I'm doing from day to day. No one gives a crap. Like, there's literally millions of truck drivers out there doing the same thing every day that I'm doing, you know? But it's, I guess, just the fact that I'm willing to share my life, or a lot of my life on YouTube. Trucking, sawmilling, woodworking. You know, I've learned a lot of stuff over the years, maybe even like showing welding. I probably should have done a better job on my videos of building the sawmill, kind of step-by-step type of stuff. But at the time I was like, I'm not making any money making these videos, so why not just do it for fun, right? No one is paying me, like I don't have Patreon or anything like that. You know, yeah, you can join the channel if you want and pay, you know, monthly membership fee, but then I kind of feel obligated to create special content just for those people who are members, which I only have one member right now, and I don't even know if I still have that member, because my revenue has went way down, and what that member pays per month would be like what my revenue is now. So that it doesn't make any sense. Like on where it says my estimated revenue for the month, I'm like, okay, I guess maybe I don't have a member anymore. I don't know, but it is what it is. It's like, well, it's not about making money on YouTube anymore. That doesn't matter that much to me. If I could make money on YouTube, enough money to where I can do strictly just YouTube, I would love to do that. That's my dream. That'd be my dream job, to be debt-free, to be in a position where I make enough money on YouTube to sustain, you know, doing that. But, you know, I'd done that for like 2 years, and I just kept dumping money into it, even when I really didn't have money to dump into it. processing a chicken, which I did not do bad. I actually done pretty good at it. I did not gut them or anything like that. I watched some videos. I watched like Joe Salatin, watched him process them like as a whole chicken. I was like, well, I might do that one day, but I don't see why, you know, because I can just process them the way I did and skin them and do it that way. That's the way I prefer, because I don't really like the skin on chicken meat. I mean, like chicken legs or the breast or anything, I'd rather it be like boneless, skinless. Like the thighs, I didn't take the bone out, left that in. Like I'll just cook it, you know, with the bone in. It's fine by me. Now the wings, there wasn't nothing on the wings of those roosters. I don't know why anyone would want the wings off them. Now, for meat birds, I'll probably eventually end up getting some Cornish cross and raise those, kind of like you've seen a lot of other channels do, just for meat birds. But as far as like the ones I'm hatching out and raising and everything, what I want to do with those is just hatch out chickens and like sell baby chicks. That's my purpose behind that, to help supplement income. Plus it's like a hobby for me. So I enjoy raising chickens, I enjoy hatching them out, just the whole process and everything. I don't want to be processing the chickens, right? I don't want to have them for meat birds and stuff like that. I mean, if it comes down to it, then yeah, you know, if I have to. If things get really bad and food is really scarce and crazy expensive, can't afford food, and that's what I gotta do, then yeah, that's what I do. But that's not what I'm trying to raise chickens for. I'd rather, you know, sell them to people, maybe make a little bit of money that way, make it a self-sustaining type of deal. Not that I want to make a bunch of money off of it or anything, but I want it to be self-sustaining and be able to make enough money to reinvest in it, to make it into something, you know. Maybe it could be just a small-time little hatchery type thing or something I do into retirement age and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't really see a lot of money in chickens. Everybody's brother has chickens, okay? There's literally right down the road from me. I don't know if they have a YouTube channel, but they got a sign out front that says something or other homestead. I need to slow down when I go by there and see what it says and see if it's on YouTube or something. But yeah, it's a little homestead. They've got a whole bunch of solar panels out there, a huge solar array that I'm pretty sure powers their entire house, their whole operation. They have, I'm pretty sure, like chickens and ducks and geese, whatever. And there's a Mennonite family that just built 2 houses down the road from me. One guy's living in one of the houses now. It's like an old homestead, and they own an old house that's attached to that homestead, but they just built 2 more houses there. And I don't know, I think I need to stop by there sometime and talk to them. Maybe see about going to work with them or something. Because they definitely, whatever it is they do, they make good money doing it. And they've got a mini excavator, a little tractor, skid steer, like equipment. So I'm thinking that's what they do for a living, is build houses and stuff. So I don't know, maybe I might be able to work a deal with the sawmill and mill lumber for them and just hire some people to run the mill. There's no way that I can run that mill by myself and provide people with lumber, like what would need to be done in order to make a living off of it. By myself, I could make a living off of it by myself. Raise a family off of a sawmill like that without an edger or without a forklift or a tractor, it's not possible. You can't make enough money. You can, but not every month. It's not consistent enough. Selling slabs, you know, live edge slabs was doing really good for a while. That kind of tapered off because, you know, people are just trying to make ends meet nowadays. You know, the market's not great. You know, the economy's doing okay, and to hang on to it, they cut back on employment of some people, or, things like that, or they don't spend as much. And that hurts kind of the rest of the industry, slows things down, makes it sluggish. I can foresee it bouncing back here in a couple of years and doing really, really well. A lot of it really depends on who is in office and things that they do that can bring a lot of stuff back. But I don't know. I feel like right now we're in that kind of like 94, 95 when things were really great. They were just kind of going along. And then it's like, what, 97, 98 or something like that when things started doing good. I don't know, I wasn't very old back then. I'm kind of thinking like, wasn't it like 98 or something when Bill Clinton was in there and the economy started doing good? A lot of people would like, a lot of Republicans would be like, it was doing crap when Bill Clinton was in there, but I beg to differ. It actually was doing pretty decent when Clinton was in there. Of course, we still had NASA and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of coming back. That's another big thing. I see a lot of money having to go into SpaceX and NASA and all that, and that whole industry really drives a lot of stuff in America. So I really like seeing that come back. Yes, it's a lot of money being spent, mostly from the government, but it helps out the whole country. There's benefits from that in many different ways. Hey, is Paul in here? I see somebody said hello, Paul, Bearded Carpenter. What's up, Paul? Good to see you in here, man. Old Bearded Carpenter. Man, I need to get out there and come hang out with him for a day sometime. If I ever decide to take a vacation or something, when I get the bus done or something, I might head down that way, maybe go see if I can swing by the 41.36 and hang out for a bit, and go see Paul and Possum Run, all them, hang out with them for a day or two. I want to get that bus done so I can take it on a little trip like that or something sometime. But man, when I get to thinking about all the different things I got to do, it becomes a little overwhelming. It's like sitting there looking at a big old elephant steak that you got to eat, and you're like, oh my gosh. Bearded Carpenter says, come on down. I could probably spend like a month down there, like helping you build a cabin or something, and I still wouldn't learn all the stuff I want to learn. I would love to see, like, in person, not like on a YouTube video, but like in person, the whole process. Like you go, like, I know the felling of the trees, I know how to do all that, but like sawmilling to like shaping the logs and everything to build an entire cabin, like to have that knowledge and learn it in person, like on the job type skill or something. If one day, if I was, in a spot financially where I could just take off and go learn something like that, that would be the dream vacation for me. Even if I had to pay someone to teach me it. I mean, shoot, I sit there and I pay $200 a day to an oil hauler to teach me how to haul oil, because that's how you learn. You don't get into hauling crude oil without paying your dues. And it's expensive. It costs me a lot. I mean, I'm sure I could probably build a log cabin. I can go back and watch all of the Bearded Carpenter's videos. He's got some really great videos out there. I watched some of them. But man, to build an entire log cabin, that'd be awesome. I don't know if I would, personally, if I would build a full round log cabin I'd probably do it where it's built like on two sides. I think that's how you did that last one I was watching you build. I've got a lot of the tools. I really got interested in timber framing, and I need to build a carport over the concrete, the patio, whatever, right in front of my house. And I'm kind of thinking about doing a timber frame over top of that, because that would just be, I mean, for one, for the experience, right? But for two, just because it would look really awesome. Especially like on camera, you know, if I did kind of like, oh shoot, what's his name? Out of the Woods Forestry, why can't I think of his name? Dang it. Nathan over at Out of the Woods Forestry. I know he built that one, like a barn, and he used walnut for the knee braces in that building. I thought that was really cool. If I did something like that with, you know, walnut or black cherry or something where it just stands out a little different, I think that'd be pretty cool. I need to actually build a cabin that's timber frame and sell it. Something that's kind of small that can, you know, you can take it apart, load it up, move it somewhere, and put it back together, you know, in a week's time or something. I think that'd be cool. If I could build it to where it was permanently together and it wasn't too heavy to be hauled, which I don't think is possible because what I have available to me is oak, and oak is just insanely heavy. I think if I could make it out of pine, it wouldn't be bad as far as weight. You could probably get like a shipping container or some hauler to be able to load it up or something and move it. Oh, you're having trouble hearing me? Yeah, someone else was telling me that my audio's not picking up good or something. I don't know why. It could be the phone case, I don't know. But yeah, I'm kind of thinking about getting off here. I'm starting to get into the traffic. Let's see. Your hearing ain't too good? Mine ain't too good either. Been missing me. I guess I'm gonna get off here. I guess people can't hear me very good. It's probably been like that the whole time. See, my brother was building log cabins in Colorado, but profits were minimal. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I mean, I've seen log cabin builders in my area, not really in my area, like south of me down in Arkansas. Actually go out of business. There was another one that was east of me along I-44. Used to see them out there with a big sawmill and everything, and they built log cabins, and I think they probably did that for 10 or 12 years that I know of, and then they went out of business. So yeah, it's probably not that easy to make money building log cabins. I'm gonna hop off here. Been on here for a while. What is it? Almost right at 4 hours now. So I'm gonna get off here. We'll talk to you guys on the next one, and hopefully I hit that 3,500 subscriber mark now. Yeah, good to see you too, Mary Carpenter. Paul. Later. All right, bye guys.